Kenneth K. woke up in the back of an ambulance, racing along I-10 towards Lafayette General. He couldn't stop coughing, and the EMT gently helped him turn on his side to make breathing easier. "What happened?" Kenneth asked between coughs. "There was a fire at the factory," the EMT replied. "What?" Kenneth gasped, worried. "Is everyone okay?" The EMT didn't respond, only focused on monitoring Kenneth and adjusting the oxygen mask over his face. Inside the emergency room of Lafayette General, many people from the factory fire were being treated based on how badly they were hurt. "No, you need to help her first," Kenneth urged as he was moved to a treatment area near Patsy Bordelon. "You have head injuries. She has burns," the orderly explained. "I don't have." Kenneth began, then lost consciousness again. When he woke up, sunlight poured through the window. He was in a semi-private room sharing it with Big Mike, a short but muscular man. "We're lucky to be alive," Big Mike said when he saw Kenneth was awake. "Uh-huh," Kenneth replied, not feeling so lucky. "I heard some people didn't make it," Big Mike continued, and Kenneth heard him start to quietly cry. "Oh no," Kenneth said softly, feeling sad for his friends and co-workers. "What happened?" Big Mike asked. "I don't know. I was just getting a soda and then I woke up in the ambulance," Kenneth explained. 4 days later, Lafayette General let Kenneth go home. Big Mike had a broken back and would stay in the hospital a bit longer. Kenneth's wife, Jennifer K., drove 40 miles from Bender to pick him up. The tall blonde made it clear she wasn't happy about the long drive. As he sat next to her, Kenneth wondered again why he had married her. She had been beautiful 19 years ago when they met at McDonald's, but beauty alone didn't make up for her difficult attitude. Their marriage was what people often call a just-do-it arrangement. Kenneth had married the upset and scared Jennifer Moore to provide a loving home for their child. He had put his dreams of being a baseball player and a rock musician aside and took a job at the Bender mattress factory instead. When Kenneth learned that the midnight to 8 shifts paid a little more, he quickly took the opportunity. No, sweetie. If we save up more, we can leave this cramped apartment and get a nice house for you, me, and Kenny," Kenneth said, gently touching his wife's growing belly. Jennifer gave birth to a lovely little girl with blonde hair and named her Jadia Ann Kay. "Jadia?" Kenneth frowned at the unusual name. "Yeah, I knew a girl in school whose mom named her Verisa, not like Teresa. I thought it was awesome that her mom gave her such a unique name. You know how many Jennifers there are, but how many Verisas do you know?" Jennifer explained. "Jadia?" Kenneth asked again. "Where did that name come from?" "Think of it like Nadia, but with a J." "Get it?" Jennifer replied. Kenneth sighed, knowing that arguing would be pointless as Jennifer had already decided. Before Jadia could walk, Jennifer announced they were expecting again. "Okay, but I want to name this one," Kenneth insisted. "Sure," Jennifer said, feeling determined to choose the name herself. Jalissa Amy Kay was born with a thick head of blonde hair and her mother's bright blue eyes. "Jalissa?" Kenneth said, puzzled. "My mom's name is Melissa, so it's like that, but with a J," Jennifer explained, then turned her attention to the newborn. "That name sounds funny," Bernice Kay, Kenneth's mother, commented discreetly to Kenneth. Kenneth worked hard to save money, even though Jennifer liked to spend, and managed to gather a decent amount towards his dream of a house for their family. "I'll buy it, but I won't live here," Jennifer said sharply when Kenneth showed her the house they could afford. "It's a starter home," Kenneth tried to explain patiently. "We could buy it outright, fix it up, and then sell it for a better house." But Jennifer insisted they buy a bigger house right away, forcing Kenneth to spend their savings on something larger. With high interest, the mortgage took up more than half his paycheck. As the family got comfortable in their new home, Jennifer announced they would soon welcome another baby. "Oh no, honey," Kenneth sighed. "I can hardly feed everyone now, and now there's going to be another baby?" Jadia, aged 6, and Jalissa, 5, decided they didn't like their new sister, J.C. Alice Kay, and often teased the little girl. Kenneth didn't ask about the baby's name or her background. He and Jennifer both had blonde hair and blue eyes. In Kenneth's family history, there had only been one other person with brown hair in the last 100 years, and the background of Oliver Kay was also unclear. However, Oliver had light blue eyes, unlike J.C. Kay's dark brown ones. Very little was known about Jennifer's family. Many of her relatives had lost touch long ago, which meant that brown hair and brown eyes could have been inherited from someone in her family tree. JC had been a daddy's girl since she was born. Jennifer focused on caring for her two daughters, letting her husband take care of JC and keep her safe. "Mom, he hit me!" Jalissa shouted after Kenneth had given her a light slap. "I saw her about to drop this on JC," Kenneth said, holding up a big piggy bank. "I wasn't," Jalissa stated, not telling the truth. "I was just showing it to her." "While she was asleep?" Kenneth questioned, making Jalissa blush for being caught in her lie. Kenneth didn't notice that Jalissa referred to him as he instead of Dad. He also didn't realize that Jadiah did the same thing. However, Jennifer noticed and couldn't help but smile whenever her daughters did this. 19 years later, driving down I-10 in his old Ford pickup truck, Kenneth wondered why he had married Jennifer in the first place. She was still attractive, with a lovely figure and beautiful features, but her personality didn't match her looks. "So," she snapped as soon as he got in the truck, "I guess you'll just sit around all day now that you're not working, huh?" "I'm not without a job," he replied. "Oh, come on, Kenneth, the factory is gone," Jennifer said loudly. "What? Are you going to just stand there?" "No. Big Eddie came to the hospital and said we'll get paid even if we're not working until the new factory opens," Kenneth answered. "So you think you're going to ruin my plans just because you're home?" Jennifer shot back. "Ruin what plans?" Kenneth replied, just as she slammed on the brakes in the garage. "If you think I'm going to stop seeing people just because you're here, you've got another thing coming," she said as she walked into the house. "Wait, what?" Kenneth asked, confused about what he had just heard. "You heard me," she replied with a tight smile. "Oh, I guess you didn't know, huh?" she added, her smile growing even wider. Kenneth stood still, his mind racing as Jennifer spoke with an air of finality. "Well, now that everything's out in the open, I guess there's no point in hiding anymore," she said casually. Confused, Kenneth asked, "What do you mean?" Jennifer giggled, clearly unbothered. "Come on, Kenneth, everyone figured it out a long time ago. While you're at work, I'm out living my life." Kenneth's head pounded as he listened to her explain, his vision blurring from the shock. Behind her, their daughters laughed as though it were all a joke, but JC, the youngest, looked horrified as she listened to her mother's words. "Fine. Just pack your things and take the girls with you," Kenneth finally said, his voice shaking with anger. Jennifer laughed, clearly entertained. "Oh no, sweetie, that's not how it works. We're in a no-fault state, which means I get half of everything plus custody of the kids. You'll be stuck paying for the house, the car, and child support. And don't think you'll get to see the kids easily. Go ahead, divorce me. I dare you." With that, Jennifer grabbed her phone from her purse. "If we're done here, I've got plans. See you." Kenneth stood in silence as she headed upstairs, her phone already pressed to her ear. "Hey, can you come pick me up in about 30 minutes? "Yeah, I'm still dealing with him," she said, before disappearing into the bedroom. Downstairs, JC, overwhelmed, hugged her father tightly, tears in her eyes. "Dad, I swear I didn't know about any of this," she whispered through her sobs. "It's okay, sweetie," Kenneth whispered back, hugging her close. "Everything's going to be all right." Meanwhile, Jalissa, their other daughter, snickered as she walked out of the kitchen, but Kenneth ignored her. Soon after, a car pulled up outside the house, loud music blaring from the speakers. Jennifer waved cheerfully as she headed out the door. "See you," she called out with a smirk. Kenneth stared after her but didn't say a word. She glanced back with a smug expression before getting into the car and driving away. Kenneth sighed and returned to his computer. With a few clicks, he made sure all of Jennifer's credit cards were canceled, the balances cleared. He adjusted the mortgage and car insurance payments, making sure to cover everything from a secret account Jennifer had set up. He didn't feel anger anymore, just a deep sense of sadness. The door slammed shut behind him, and Kenneth shook his head, quietly preparing for the days to come. Kenneth had known about Jennifer's secret bank account for years. Since she only added a small amount each month, he didn't see the need to bring it up. Setting up a new account in his and his mother's names took a bit longer than expected. He wanted to make sure his children were looked after, even if Jennifer claimed he wasn't their father. With a smile, he moved $42,580 from Jennifer's account to his new one. He took a breath, leaned back in his chair, and picked up the phone. "Hey, Mom," he said. A few minutes later, Kenneth stomped up the stairs. Jalissa's room was first on the left, so he knocked firmly on her door. "What?" Jalissa answered in a rude tone. "Open the door," Kenneth said. "Go away," she replied. "Fine," he said, trying the doorknob. "Go away, numbnuts," Jalissa laughed as he shook the locked door. Kenneth stepped back, preparing for what he needed to do. Jalissa screamed as her door broke open. "I said open the door, and I meant it," Kenneth said firmly. "Now get up and get in the car. Now! You can't tell me what to do," the 17-year-old shouted, still quaking with fear. Kenneth quickly grabbed her and firmly guided her out of bed. "I'm serious. Get downstairs and into the car now," he said calmly. Jadiah didn't wait for her father to knock. She was too scared and rushed down the stairs to sit in the back of her mother's BMW. JC watched in fear as Kenneth approached her. "Get into the car," Kenneth said softly. "Yes, sir," JC replied obediently. "Just wait until I tell Mom," Jalissa grumbled as she climbed into the back seat. "Honestly, Jalissa, I don't care what you say to your mom," Kenneth replied as he started the car. "Daddy?" JC asked quietly as they arrived at Bernice and Melvin Kay's house. "Yes, sweetie," Kenneth responded. "Please take care of Pebbles," JC whispered. "Of course, I'll make sure she's all right," Kenneth promised. Pebbles was JC's beloved cat, named after a character from the Flintstones. Jadiah and Jalissa often teased JC and tried to bother the cat, but it was clear how much JC loved her pet. The animal only trusted JC, feeling unsure about everyone else. "Wait, what does that mean?" Jadiah bravely asked. "I know you will," JC replied with a tight smile at her father. "Thanks, Mom," Kenneth called out as the girls walked to the house. Kenneth drove to Huval's Texaco and bought 2 5-gallon cans, filling them with gas. "You might want to put some newspaper down," the clerk suggested, while Kenneth loaded the cans into the trunk of his nice car. "No worries," Kenneth said with a grin. He drove back home, found the crate they used to take the cat to the vet, and stepped inside the house. As usual, Pebbles was nowhere to be found and didn't come when called. Finally, he opened a can of cat food and popped the lid. He placed the food on one of Jennifer's grandmother's plates and waited patiently. After a while, the smell drew Pebbles out from behind the couch. "Got you, you silly cat," Kenneth smiled, placing both the cat and the plate into the crate. Jalissa sighed in frustration as her mother's phone went straight to voicemail again. "Mom, please call me back. I'm at Grandma's house. Dad is acting strange. This is serious. Call me back," she whispered urgently. "You don't have to whisper. I know you're calling your mother," Bernice said sharply, surprising Jalissa. "Why do I have to be here?" Jalissa shouted at the woman. "I'm 17. I can take care of myself." "Yeah, I'm 18, Jadiah added, standing behind Jalissa. "Goodbye," Bernice waved. "If you don't want to be here, then I definitely don't want you here." The two girls smirked and walked toward the front door. "How are you planning to get home?" Bernice asked. "It's 9 miles, and I know you've never walked that far." "No, but you can drive us," Jalissa insisted. "I could, but I'm not going to," Bernice said, taking out bowls for the stew she was preparing. "Then how are we going to?" Jalissa asked, her voice rising. "That's beyond me, but I don't care," Bernice replied, placing the 3 bowls on the table. "JC, Melvin, dinner's ready." "Excuse me," Melvin said as he pushed past Jalissa. Where's mine?" Jalissa finally asked as JC took her seat at the table. "I guess yours is wherever you're going. You said you could take care of yourselves." "Bye," Bernice said, waving her hand. "I hate you," Jalissa shouted at her grandmother. "That's nice, dear," Bernice smiled. "Goodbye." Kenneth made a few holes in the gas tank of the BMW and then in his pickup truck. Next, he took one of the 5-gallon gas cans upstairs, starting in the bedroom he shared with Jennifer. He spilled gas generously on the bed, the chest of drawers, and the low dresser. He sighed as he looked at the big television, and then shrugged. He picked up one of her silly figurines and threw it at the screen. His stomach felt uneasy when he entered JC's room and started to cover her bedroom in gasoline. He noticed a small framed photo and picked it up. It was a picture of him and JC posing with the little fish she had caught the first time he took her fishing. He carried the photo downstairs and placed it on top of a crate. Inside the crate, their pet, Pebbles, was starting to meow. He went back upstairs and happily spread gasoline in JC's and Jalissa's rooms using the rest of the first can. Then he tossed the can onto Jalissa's bed. He spilled the second can on all the furniture downstairs. Afterward, he took the crate and the small photo, leaving the house. He set the crate and the photo down at the edge of the driveway and then moved to the side of the house. He set up a sprinkler and locked it in place, directing the spray at Ray's house. He did the same on the other side, making sure it sprayed Debbie's house too. Then he smiled as he looked at the big house that Jennifer had insisted they buy, a home he did not want but had lived in for the last 14 years. He opened the front door, struck a match, and dropped it onto the gasoline-soaked rug. Then he closed the door, walked to the edge of the driveway, and waited. By the time the first fire truck arrived, it was too late. The house was engulfed in flames. Ray's house started to smoke despite Kenneth's efforts to keep the sprinkler on it, so the first fire truck focused on protecting Ray's home. Debbie's house was further away, so the second crew helped the first crew with Ray's house. "What happened?" Sheriff Dick Davis asked as Kenneth stood across the street, holding a shaking crate and the small framed photo. "I set it on fire," Kenneth replied casually. "We couldn't keep up with the payments, so my wife, Jennifer, and I thought if we burned it down, we could get the insurance money and find a smaller place we could afford." "You started this fire on purpose?" Sheriff Dick Davis asked, making sure Deputy Orville Jackson heard Kenneth's words. "Yeah," Kenneth said with a shrug. "I took the kids to my mom's for dinner, then went to Huval's and bought a couple of cans of gasoline, spreading it around. Oh, and the car, too. The payments were tough. It's a shame, though, I forgot about the truck. It's paid for. So, when do you think the insurance money might come?" "Sir, where is your wife?" the sheriff asked. "Not sure. She said she didn't want to see it," Kenneth replied. "One of her friends came to get her," Kenneth said, putting the crate down as pebbles started to wear him out. "Please, put your hands behind your back," Dick said. "Really smart move," Jadiah complained as she and Jalissa walked along Highway 19 toward home. "We could have just waited until after we ate. He would have come for us." "He wasn't coming back for us," Jalissa replied. "We'd be stuck here until Mom picked us up." "How much further do we have to go?" Jadiah asked. "Look around, Jadiah," Jalissa said, pointing to their surroundings. "Does this look anywhere near our house?" "I'm going back," Jadiah decided. Jalissa wanted to return to her grandmother's house too, but her pride held her back. "Looks like he's glad to be here," Orville said as they watched Kenneth K. "Have you figured out what to do about his cat?" Dick asked. "Yep, and here she is," Orville grinned as his sister walked into the station. "Hey there," Willie Jackson said as she handed her brother 2 small pills. "I thought someone like you would know where to get phenobarbital." "I do. I called my little sister," Orville smiled. "Thanks, sis." "Where's that cute Eric Green?" Willie asked, looking around. "Night off," Dick said with a smile. "But I'll make sure to tell him you were asking." "Good. My dog has seizures because I gave you his medicine. You should at least arrange for that nice boy to take me out," Willie said as she turned to leave. "And it better not be McDonald's. It should be somewhere nice like Manny's or Touch of Sicily," she called out as she left the little building. "Should we tell her that Eric's not interested?" Dick asked Orville. "He's not?" Orville said, surprised. "No, but he definitely seems nervous around her," Dick chuckled. "So how are you going to get that medicine into the cat?" "Just watch," Orville said confidently. He took the 2 pills and crushed them with the butt of his service revolver. Then he placed 3 small containers of coffee creamer onto a small plate. The crushed tablets were carefully scraped into the plate. "Okay," Dick smiled as Orville carried his mix to the small closet where they had hidden the crate. "Okay," Dick smiled again when Orville returned, holding his injured hand close to his chest. "Do you have any better ideas?" Orville asked, a bit frustrated. "Yes. Animal control is on its way," Dick replied. "That's why he is the sheriff and you are not," Officer Mike Stevens said as he placed some antiseptic on Orville's hurt hand. "Go get your granddaughter," Bernice told Melvin, while Jadiah sat at the table, enjoying the reheated stew. "The Braves are ahead by 1 and it's the top of the 8th, Melvin argued. "Go. I promise nothing will happen in the 10 minutes you'll be gone," Bernice insisted. "I'll keep an eye on things for you and update you," JC offered. "Okay. How about you go get her?" Melvin said, already putting on his shoes. Melvin, you know I dislike driving at night, Bernice said with a smile as her husband got ready to help. Okay, on three, 1, 2, 3, Melvin said. Go Braves! JC and Melvin cheered as Melvin opened the door. You all are so funny, Bernice smiled. Melvin noticed Jalissa sitting by the side of Highway 19 looking defeated. He forced a smile. She hadn't made it 2 miles before stopping. He turned the car around and parked in front of her. He rolled down the passenger window. Get in, he said. Jalissa didn't reply, just got up and climbed into the car. Melvin smiled slightly as Jalissa tried to hide her tear-streaked face from him. Your grandma is warming up some stew for you, Melvin said softly as he parked in front of the house. Thank you, Jalissa whispered. Cecil was not happy when both Jennifer's MasterCard and Visa were rejected. Grumbling, he pulled out 3 crumpled $20 bills and dropped them onto the small plate the waiter was holding. The total is $59.19, the waiter said quietly. Really? Cecil snapped. That's $60, right? Cecil asked. Yes, sir, very good, the waiter replied stiffly and walked away. They expect a tip, Jennifer whispered to Cecil. They can expect all they want, doesn't mean they'll get one, Cecil said bluntly. Well, I was thinking of suggesting we head to the Hilton and Towers, but for some reason my cards aren't working, Jennifer said, smiling to herself as the waiter dropped Cecil's change on the table. Thanks, Cecil said sarcastically. My pleasure, sir, the waiter replied with a forced smile, while Cecil made a show of counting out the change and leaving just a penny as a tip. So what are you trying to say? Cecil asked as they waited for his car to be brought around by the valet. I guess I'm saying I know I promised you something more tonight, but... Jennifer said, her voice trailing off. The back seat will do, Cecil replied, opening the car door for her with a smirk. Tell Animal Control that the cat belongs to my daughter JC, and here's the number where they can reach her, Kenneth said as Orville, his hand wrapped in bandages, walked through the rows of cells. What? Orville asked, confused. The cat belongs to my daughter, Kenneth repeated calmly. You knew that an hour ago and didn't say anything? Orville's voice rose in frustration. It wasn't a problem an hour ago, Kenneth replied with a shrug. I'll call her, Orville grumbled, stomping away. Told you I think he's enjoying this back there, Dick smiled as Orville muttered under his breath. Yeah, maybe. Any sign of his wife? Orville asked. Nope. Says he doesn't know the guy's full name, just Cecil. Dick shrugged. Watch, we'll find out he knows everything, full name, address, phone number, even what size shoes the guy wears, Orville snapped. How's your hand? Dick asked with a grin. The back seat wasn't comfortable, but Cecil didn't care. He enjoyed the situation, though Jennifer clearly didn't. She felt used, as though she didn't matter, just a tool for Cecil's satisfaction. Normally, it didn't bother her too much when it was in a nice setting, on a comfortable bed, with access to a hot shower afterward. Yeah, Cecil said with satisfaction, leaning back. That was something. Jennifer tried to sit up, but Cecil shoved her back. Where do you think you're going? He asked sharply. We're done. Take me home, she replied, frustration in her voice. $60 and you just want that? Cecil said, sounding annoyed. You better rethink that real quick. You know I don't, Jennifer began, upset. You do now, Cecil said angrily, raising his hand as a warning. Over time? Bernice groaned. Haven't we gone through enough already? Now they want to make us deal with even more? On 3, Melvin said, looking at JC. 1, 2, 3. Go Braves! JC and Melvin cheered together. In the living room, Jadia and Jalissa were settled on the sleeper sofa, far enough away from the den to not be bothered by the noise of the baseball game, but close enough to hear JC and Melvin's excited cheers. Why does JC get her own room here? Jadia asked Jalissa. And we have to sleep on this uncomfortable couch? Because she's the favorite, Jalissa said with a sneer. Always acting perfect. I hate her, Jadia muttered. I hate him, Jalissa added, referring to their dad. Yeah, I hate him too, Jadia agreed. Hope Mom lets him have it, Jalissa said with frustration. Did you hear when she called him that name? Jadia laughed. Jennifer stepped out of the car and stared in disbelief at the smoldering remains of her home, still smoking from the fire. What happened? She muttered, not expecting an answer. Close the door, Cecil said impatiently from the driver's seat. What? Jennifer asked, shocked. Close the door, I'm late, he repeated. You're just going to leave me here? She asked, her voice rising. What do you want me to do? Take you to my place? Cecil snapped. Yeah, right. My baby's mama would love that. At that moment, Officer Becky Zima approached. Mrs. K? Hey, officer, can you move your car? Cecil asked, annoyed that her patrol car was blocking his exit. I'll need to see some ID, Becky said firmly, turning to Jennifer. Now, are you Mrs. Jennifer K? Officer, what happened to my house? Jennifer asked, ignoring the request. Please answer the question. Are you Jennifer K? Becky repeated. Yes, I am, Jennifer finally responded. But what happened to my house? Jennifer K, please put your hands behind your back. You have the right to remain silent. Officer Becky started to read Jennifer her rights. In a daze, Jennifer was booked, fingerprinted, and searched, all while mumbling angry insults at Officer Becky. She was then placed in a cell with 3 other women who spoke to each other in Spanish. Your arraignment is tomorrow morning, Becky explained patiently. Your bail will be set then. Try to get some sleep. Why don't you leave me alone? Jennifer hissed back. The next morning, Jennifer was assigned Donald Pellichet as her public defender. As he explained the charges and her husband's involvement, Jennifer was furious, protesting her innocence. Her husband, it seemed, had implicated her in their plan to burn down the house for insurance money. Really? Kenneth asked Sophia Kutra, his own court-appointed lawyer. You mean that's illegal? I was just doing what my wife told me. She's the one in charge. You can ask anyone, they'll tell you. You liar! Jennifer shouted angrily when they saw each other in the courthouse. Elizabeth Parish Courthouse. Kenneth grinned at Jennifer as both Donald and a bailiff held her back. You think you can get away with this? I'm going to make you pay! Jennifer shouted at him as he was brought into the courtroom to face Judge Jack Melanson. Stop being so good, Kenneth whispered to Sophia Kutra, who was arguing for her client to be released without bail. What did you say? She asked, surprised. I said, stop being so good. Let me stay where I am, Kenneth replied, and she finally focused on the assistant district attorney. Adam quickly agreed that Kenneth could remain in custody, so he was taken to DeGard's jail to await his trial. Okay, Mr. K, what's really going on? Sophia asked. And yes, this is being recorded. The system is unfair, Kenneth said calmly. My wife goes out and does whatever she wants, while I'm just supposed to accept it. I ask for a divorce, and she gets everything, the house, the car, the kids, while I'm left with the bills. She hardly worked, but I had to work so hard to give her everything. And now she claims I'm the one who wanted to burn our house down, so I can end up behind bars while she and her new partner enjoy life? No, Mrs. Kutra. Keep me in here. If I'm not working, she won't get a dime from me. Yeah, the system is unfair, Sophia agreed. My first husband cheated with everyone while I worked hard to support us both through law school. As soon as he graduated, he told me he found his true love, but I'm still stuck paying off the bills he left behind. That's rough, Kenneth responded. Yep, but there is a bright side, Sophia smiled. I met my husband because of that awful experience, and his true love. She turned out to be sick. Ouch, Kenneth chuckled lightly. All right, Mr. K, we'll see you in a couple of months, Sophia said with a shrug as she stood up. Donald Pellichet was relieved to finish with Jennifer K as a client. She claimed he was not prioritizing her over others. Of course, I'm not putting her first. My other clients are paying, he muttered after another loud argument. Dick Davis smiled knowingly as Donald walked out of the police station. Whoever she's planning to call, it's not going to be me, Donald warned Dick. Jesse Johnson walked in, listened to Jennifer share her story, and felt he would benefit from her information as he took details about her secret account. There's probably at least 40,000 in it by now, she said. Just get me out of here. Jesse typed the information into his laptop, cleared the user ID field, and tried again. Jesse paused for a moment before speaking. Kay, I'm not sure how to say this, but... Let me see that, Jennifer shouted. She slammed her fingers on his keyboard and gasped in anger when she saw the account was gone. That little jerk, she muttered under her breath. And since the house is in both your names... Jesse continued. What house? Jennifer yelled. That awful person burned it down. What I mean, Mrs. K, is you've hired me as your attorney, but I'm not working for free. Mr. Pellichet was your court-appointed attorney, Jesse explained. My fee is $350 an hour. You do plan to pay me, right? Great, just wonderful, Jennifer sighed. Get that lazy guy back in here. It was nice working with you, Jesse said insincerely as he left the room. Come on, princess, Becky said gently, leading Jennifer back to her cell. Going to make you regret this, you hear me? Jamal sneered as Kenneth sat on his bunk reading a book. No thanks, Kenneth replied calmly. But have a nice day. I'm talking to you, Jamal shouted, grabbing the book from Kenneth's hands. In an instant, Kenneth's fist hit Jamal hard, making him choke for air. He followed up with another blow that knocked Jamal down. Kenneth remained calm as he stepped away from Jamal, who lay still on the ground. Anyone else want to try something? Kenneth asked as he picked up his book again. Hey man, no need to come at us like that, one of the other men complained. What did I do to you? Yeah, and what have you done for me? Where were you when I was being threatened? Kenneth shot back. I thought you could handle it, the man replied quietly. Captain Charles V. Lowe roared in shock when he entered and saw Jamal's body on the floor. What happened here? Charles demanded. Just an accident, I guess, Kenneth shrugged. Just wonderful, Charles muttered in frustration. As Jennifer was leaving the courtroom with 5 other women in custody, she noticed Kenneth being led in with heavy shackles. What's he doing here? Jennifer asked Becky. They aren't letting him go, are they? Not sure. I heard he harmed another prisoner, Becky said with a shrug. Jennifer turned to watch as 3 police officers brought Kenneth into the courtroom. Him? You can't be serious. He's not tough at all, Jennifer laughed. You must mean someone else. Oh, no way, Bernice exclaimed. There's no chance I'm letting you go to Northside. Why not? Jadiah asked, taking a big bite of her sandwich. Bernice and Jalissa were talking. Look at how well you two turned out, Melvin joked, getting a light slap on the back of his head from Bernice. No, we're going to St. Thomas. It's a good school, Bernice said firmly. Ha ha! You'll have to wear those silly uniforms. Jalissa laughed. Nothing wrong with those uniforms, Bernice replied. But Grandma, we can't pay for that school, JC said with concern. Don't worry about that, I'll handle it, Bernice assured her. When do you think Mom will come to get us? Jalissa asked. They must know she wasn't involved in the fire, right? Oh, and your dad should be getting out soon too, Bernice reminded Jalissa. Well, it's been almost a month, right? Jadiah asked while finishing her sandwich. Yep, it's been a month, Melvin agreed. 4 long weeks of saying I'm bored and asking when is my mommy coming. Be quiet now, but Grandpa is right, Bernice said. What do you mean? Jadiah asked, looking at her grandmother. You and Jalissa are done with school now. I saw you both graduate, Bernice explained. Yep, they now give out diplomas to everyone, Melvin said, getting another light slap from Bernice. Do you think one of you could show some motivation and go look for a job? Bernice asked. A job? Jalissa questioned. Yes, a job. You know where people go to earn money, Melvin replied. It was all over the news. You can't be serious, Jalissa said, sounding doubtful. I am serious, Bernice said. I've asked you to help around the house. This isn't a hotel, but neither of you seem willing to help. What about her? Jadiah said, pointing to JC. She doesn't help. What about her? Bernice asked gently, resting her hand on JC's shoulder. Who helped Grandpa with the brass yesterday? And helped me change the oil in the car the day before that, Melvin added. And got a bit messy doing it, Jalissa said quickly. That doesn't matter. She was trying. She was helping, doing her part, Melvin said. So how about this? You have 2 weeks to find a real job, or we can call Grandma Moore to see if you can stay with her, Bernice said. What? You can't be serious, Jadiah and Jalissa exclaimed in disbelief. I'm afraid I am, Bernice replied. Now does anyone want another sandwich? I'll have one, Melvin said. No, dear, you're not a teenager anymore, Bernice said, giving him a gentle kiss on his balding head. Can I have another, please? JC asked, raising her plate. Of course, sweetie pie, Bernice replied with a smile. Can I have another, please? Jalissa teased JC. Oh, everyone be careful, there's a wild animal around, Melvin joked as he felt Pebbles brush against his leg. Grandpa, she's not wild, JC laughed as Pebbles nudged her leg. One of you can use the computer to work on your resume while the other checks the classifieds. After an hour you can switch, Bernice suggested, placing the newspaper on the table. Jalissa and Jadiah exchanged worried looks. The day of the trial, the state of Louisiana versus K&K, was freezing, and Kenneth appreciated the coat his mom had bought for him. Sophia and Donald stood protectively between Kenneth and Jennifer. "All rise for the Honorable Harold Monroe," the bailiff announced. Jennifer smiled as Jediah and Jalissa's father entered the courtroom. When Judge Monroe asked if everyone was present and ready, the answer was yes from all. "Your Honor, if it pleases the court," Donald Pellichet began. Jennifer didn't see any hint of recognition, even when Donald mentioned her maiden name and her 3 children's names in his motion to try her and Kenneth separately. Harold Monroe did recognize Jennifer, though she was no longer the young woman who had once admired his fancy car and watch. She had been part of his past long ago, and many others had come between them since then. None of those women had ever been treated differently. "In the interest of time and the budget for the state of Louisiana, your motion is denied. Please proceed, Mr. Rich." Harold interrupted Donald and signaled for the assistant district attorney to start his argument. "But I didn't do it," Jennifer shouted as Adam explained how Jennifer and Kenneth had allegedly tried to cheat Young Insurance Corporation out of nearly $300,000 by setting a fire. "Counselor, if you can't control your client," Harold warned. "Yes, Your Honor, I'm sorry," Donald said, gently holding Jennifer's leg to calm her. Despite his efforts, Jennifer kept shouting and was eventually taken out of the courtroom. "Your Honor, my client does not deny the case against her, but asks for mercy. Remember, by the district attorney's own admission, this is a person who was misled and pressured for years by the co-defendant," Sophia said after Adam finished. "And, Your Honor, I request that my client be released. She has stated she had nothing to do with this serious act or the efforts to cheat," Donald Pellichet added. "The court finds you guilty of severe arson," Harold Monroe said before being surprised to see Kenneth smile at the idea of an 8 to 12-year sentence. "Stay out of trouble. You could be out in 5 or 6 years," Sophia whispered as she gently touched her client's hand. "Bye, Daddy," JC cried as Kenneth was briefly allowed to hug her. Jediah and Jalissa didn't come to the trial. Grandma Moore thought it was silly. Grandma Moore felt overwhelmed by having 2 difficult teenagers to care for and was upset with Kenneth and his parents for not stepping in to help. Even though it was frustrating, Jennifer's mother couldn't turn away her own grandchildren. "Maybe we should have looked a bit harder," Jediah said quietly to Jalissa. "If you want to, go ahead," Jalissa replied, turning up the TV. "No, I mean we could do things if we got jobs," Jadiah suggested. "Sure you can. Forget about his parents and that annoying girl JC, Jalissa retorted. "I'm just tired of sitting around all the time," Jediah complained. "Then go find something to do," Jalissa shrugged. Melissa Moore stormed into the small apartment and glared at her 2 lazy grandchildren. It was one thing when they treated Kenneth poorly, but it was worse when they were disrespectful around her. "Could one of you get off the couch and take this trash out?" she shouted. "Fine," Jalissa grumbled as she stood up. "And you," Melissa said, turning her attention to Jediah. "Do you think you could make something with this ground beef?" "What do you mean?" Jediah asked, confused. "Try cooking it, maybe?" Melissa suggested. "I've been on my feet all day at work." Jediah felt overwhelmed. She had never cooked before and started to cry. "Please stop," Melissa exclaimed. "Okay, just don't say ew or complain, all right?" JC fit in well with the other 8th graders at St. Thomas Aquinas. She did well in school and had a good attitude. No one found it strange that she lived with her grandparents, as there were a couple of other kids in the same situation. With a chance to step out of her older sister's shadows, JC shone in sports. Coach D. Campion quickly reached out to Melvin Kay to see if JC could join the junior varsity basketball team. "Of course, just wait for softball season. She has an amazing arm, trust me," Melvin told the excited coach. "But I'm too short," JC protested. "That doesn't matter," Coach D replied. "I saw you grab that rebound, and a girl much taller than you was there." No matter where you were in the gym, you could see Melvin Kay and know that JC was his granddaughter. The crowd cheered for rebounds and points and voiced their opinions on fouls. "Sit down, Melvin. People behind you can't see," Bernice would gently remind him. "But did you see that?" Melvin would shout. "She pushed her on purpose." "I think your granddad is here," teased Rain Sneed as they broke from their huddle. "Yep," JC said with a proud smile. After their last game loss, JC was quiet on the way home. "What's wrong, sweetie pie?" Bernice finally asked. I miss my daddy, JC admitted. Well, Christmas is coming up. Why don't you write him a letter? Bernice suggested. Yeah, we could send him that picture of you and your teammates with the trophy, Melvin chimed in. But I want him to come home, JC said, sounding like a girl entering her teenage years. Me too, Bernice agreed. He may be your dad, but he's my little boy too. Jennifer struggled to fit in at St. Gabriel's. Because she was pretty, she became a target for other inmates and some of the guards. Her unfriendly attitude didn't help her make friends when she first arrived, and in prison, first impressions are everything. Any hint of weakness was quickly taken advantage of. When she insisted she was innocent, only a few people mocked her. But I'm really telling the truth, she pleaded. My husband really messed things up for me. Sugar pie, look around. We're all in the same boat here, a girl laughed. And most of us are here because a man did us wrong, another girl added. Jennifer started praying on her first night that the next 10 to 15 years would go by fast. I'll be 49 when I get out of here, she thought to herself, feeling sad. Kenneth forced a smile as he read the latest letter from his daughter. The photo inside showed a young woman about to become an adult. He wanted to cry when he saw her picture, but tears felt like a weakness, and weaknesses were not taken lightly where he was. JC stood in her waitress uniform, her long brown hair falling in curls around her face, a playful smile as she balanced a tray of food in one hand. Wow, JC, you're so beautiful, Kenneth whispered as he looked at the photo again. The tight shirt displayed her figure, and the bright red shorts showed off her long legs. She wore bright red skates, reminding Kenneth of a memory that made him smile. He remembered taking JC to a friend's birthday party at a skating rink when she was 9. She was nervous about going. But what if I fall? She worried. Then you fall, Kenneth told her. But I know you. You'll fall and say, so what? And get right back up. True to his words, JC did fall, but quickly got back up and tried again. By the party's end, she was asking Kenneth to take her back the following Saturday. Before the school year ended, she was wishing for a pair of skates for her birthday. Can you skate? John Clark asked the pretty 16-year-old. Yes, sir, my dad taught me, JC replied with pride. I even have my own pair. She showed him the skates from her backpack. He nodded, then glanced at the application she filled out. It says you go to St. Thomas Aquinas, right? John asked, making an effort not to stare too much. Yes, sir, I have a 3.8 GPA, JC said, flashing her lovely smile again. Great. Let me explain how things work here, John said, setting her application aside. You mean I got the job? JC asked, filled with excitement. Well, we'll give you a try and see how it goes, John replied. She almost didn't make it through her first night. John watched as his newest employee twirled and glided around the concrete area. That kid is just having too much fun out there, he shouted to Nancy, the head cook. No, she's not, Nancy replied. She is having a great time, and I'm sure she will come back with the most tips tonight. Wow, John shouted, as JC jumped over a wooden bench and ran back into the diner's kitchen. 2 cheeseburgers, 1 without pickles, and 1 without onions, and a large fries, JC called out in her cheerful voice, skidding to a stop in front of the soda machine to prepare drinks. See? Nancy said. She's enjoying herself, but she's serious about her work. Yeah, John replied, still a bit unsure. The other waitresses moved aside as JC dashed past, balancing her tray of food. If she spills that, it will be a disaster, John warned as JC skated backward toward the customer's truck. If she spills any of it, I'll eat it, Nancy joked, smiling as JC spun around at the last moment and placed the tray on the truck window. John watched as JC got ready to make change. She smiled brightly when the truck driver raised a hand, stopping her. Just wait and see. She'll have the most tips, Nancy said, while handing another order to one of the other waitresses. Nancy collected her bet from John. Within a month, JC was teaching the other girls how to skate better and safer while showing off some fun moves. Kenneth looked again and frowned. He did not like how the uniform showed a little bit of tummy where the shirt didn't completely cover the shorts. He also disliked seeing his daughter skating around in shorts that were too revealing. There's nothing I can do about it, he sighed and placed the photo into his Bible. The noise level in Angola was almost unbearable, but over time Kenneth had learned to ignore it. He looked around the dimly lit area and sighed. Angola was the last place he ever imagined himself being, especially after everything that had happened over the past 4 years. But here he was, waiting for either freedom or something else. Jamal Westinghouse had friends. One of the men who had been in the cell the day Jamal died told a friend what had happened. So, when Kenneth K. arrived at DeQuincy, Lamont Harrison was there waiting for him. Kenneth didn't understand why this strong man had chosen to focus on him, but he knew he wouldn't take it lightly. Kenneth sat down and poked at the unappetizing food in front of him. "This is terrible," he said loudly to everyone at the table. He took a bite and made a face. "I can't eat this," he declared, stood up and threw the tray at Lamont's surprised face. Before Lamont could react, Kenneth grabbed the man's head and twisted it sharply. "Mr. K," the warden said calmly. "It's quite surprising, actually. 94 prisoners and no one saw anything." "As I said, I was just getting up and—" Kenneth started. Yes, I know, Mr. K," the warden replied. "K, you really can't seem to handle the food we have here, can you, Mr. K? Let's see if you find the meals at Angola more to your liking," the warden said with a sigh. Kenneth glanced at a picture of his youngest daughter and gave a sad smile. He picked up a picture of his oldest daughter, Jadia, along with her 2 sons, both boys of mixed heritage. After having her 3rd child, Jadia called JC to get Kenneth's mailing address, finally remembering she had a father. "Wow, she finished high school?" Kenneth thought, struggling to read one of her letters. The writing was messy, the grammar poor, and many words were spelled wrong. But she was writing to him. Each letter ended with, "Love you and miss you, Jadia." He frowned at the most recent picture. Jadia was posing in a revealing swimsuit while Robert and Samuel played in the sand. He felt uneasy looking at the photo, especially with the many tattoos she had, including roses on her chest and vines on her arms and legs. His mother had said that when Jadia had Robert, she sent her $100 each month, but stopped when she found out Jadia was using the money for tattoos instead of food. "Robert and Samuel, huh?" Kenneth chuckled, knowing that Jennifer was likely unhappy about it. Jennifer must have disliked that she was a grandmother and that her daughter chose ordinary names for her kids. Kenneth sat up to write back to JC. Jadia's letter was already on its way. He kept his replies short since long letters seemed to confuse her. He wondered again if he should write to his lawyer, Sophia Kutra. "My dearest JC," he wrote, "I think it's time to be completely honest with you, Jadia, and Mrs. Sophia Kutra about what really happened that night. It's better if she has at least one parent there for her high school graduation," he thought. Jennifer K. barely glanced up as she entered the courtroom, hardly acknowledging Donald Pellichet or Sophia Kutra. "Will I be back in time for dinner?" she finally asked. "That's the plan, Mrs. K," Donald replied with a tight smile. "We're trying to get you home in time for dinner." She looked up a bit more and then turned to the other lawyer. 5 years in prison had made everything feel blurry. Each day felt the same, as did every sound and smell. There was no clear difference between them. "What?" she asked. Kenneth K. admitted he started the fire on his own. "He has cleared you of any involvement," Donald said. "That's what I tried to tell you all 5 long years ago," Jennifer said, her bitterness and anger rising. 5 years, and now you all believe me? Payback can be tough, can it? Kenneth chuckled as he was taken past her, tightly restrained, with 2 officers beside him. "You liar!" Jennifer exclaimed, fury in her voice. "Mrs. K, please stay calm," Donald advised. "You want to appear composed in front of Judge Hill." "Forget that and forget you too," Jennifer replied sharply. "All rise," the bailiff announced. Jennifer shot a glare at Kenneth as he calmly and clearly recounted the events of that night, including her unexpected confession and the behavior of their 3 children. "So, Mr. K, are you saying that Mrs. K had no knowledge or involvement in the arson or the attempt to deceive Young Insurance?" Donald asked. "That's right," Kenneth grinned. "And there was no attempt to deceive Young Insurance. You can check with them. There was never a claim made. I knew they wouldn't pay anyway." "If I may interject, counselors," Judge Stephen Hill asked. "Mr. K, why are you revealing this now?" "Honestly," Kenneth replied, "I thought about taking it to my grave, forget her. For 19 years I worked hard for her and her children. She knew they weren't mine and even laughed about it. But our youngest daughter is graduating soon and I'd like to be there. though I know that won't happen. At least her mother could be there. How commendable of you, Mr. K, Judge Hill said without much warmth. Now what? Jennifer asked as Judge Stephen Hill left the room. Now we wait for his decision, Donald said. What decision? I'm really sorry, but I had nothing to do with that, Jennifer said, struggling to find the right words. Well, we just have to see if he believes him or not, Sophia replied. Don't forget he's a convicted criminal, Donald added dramatically. Please rise, the bailiff announced, and Judge Stephen Hill entered the room. Kenneth K felt a chill. The van was cold. People like that have a way of getting into trouble, Frederick Parr said with a grin, revealing a gold tooth. Kenneth stayed quiet, feeling the threat from Frederick, who was pointing a shotgun in his direction. Seems like everyone around here is getting into deep trouble, Frederick continued, still smiling. Is this kid trouble? Malcolm Jennings asked, looking at Kenneth. Definitely don't let his looks fool you, another guard joked. He's tougher than he seems. Even those tough guys steer clear of him. Isn't that right? Frederick asked, glancing at Malcolm. Malcolm shifted his gaze between the guards and Kenneth. So, what did you do? He finally inquired. Kenneth looked blankly at Malcolm, then shrugged and stared ahead. You know what you did? Talk to me, Malcolm insisted, convinced that the guards were misleading him. You'll find out soon enough, Kenneth replied softly. Those who talk too much don't last long here. It's better for those who know when to stay quiet. Jennifer felt bitterness follow her everywhere. It seemed to be her constant companion. Her daughter Jadia welcomed her with joy but had no space for her, living in a small apartment. Jennifer found Jalissa and her girlfriend facing eviction from yet another rundown place, leaving no room for her there either. Not that she wanted to stay with Jalissa and Rudy. Rudy was loud and harsh, with telltale signs of past struggles. JC was still living with Bernice and Melvin while going to school. Oh no, you can always come visit your daughter, Bernice quickly reassured Jennifer. I would never keep you apart. So, where are you staying? That question made it clear to Jennifer that there was no space for her at home. Desperate, she turned to her mother for help. Oh, just great, Melissa complained. I barely got rid of your kids, and now you show up needing a place to stay? Yes, Mother, Jennifer replied, raising her voice. I'm really sorry. I just got out of prison, remember? As soon as I find a job, I'm out of here, all right? Sure, your two kids said the same thing. I'm still waiting for either of them to actually get a real job, Melissa replied with a sneer. Malcolm Jennings thought Frederick and the other guard were lying. Kenneth was quiet and didn't cause trouble. Yeah, Malcolm said with a smirk while looking at a picture of JC in her waitress outfit. Tell her I'm going to find her in 5 years, you got that? Kenneth just shook his head at Malcolm. I warned that kid, didn't I? Frederick asked Kenneth, looking serious as he stared at him. Sir, I'm not sure I understand. What happened? Kenneth asked, acting innocent. Found him in the shower. Something really bad happened, Frederick replied. Oh, that's terrible, Kenneth exclaimed. I hope you find the person responsible, sir. Cut it out, Kay. I'm just looking for one reason, just one good reason to pull this trigger, Frederick said sharply at Kenneth, who showed no emotion. Hey there, what's your name? Cecil smiled, trying to be charming as JC stopped next to his car. Could you please turn your music down? JC asked, ignoring his question. You're bothering our other customers. Hey, I have a right to listen to my music, Cecil replied. Okay, see you later, JC said and skated away. Mr. John, I asked him to turn down the music and he started cursing at me, JC reported. Oh? John said, opening the diner door and walking toward the car. John told Cecil he had two choices, turn off the music or leave. Grumbling, Cecil decided to leave, glaring at JC as she skated past. So what's the biggest tip you ever got? Terry, a slender blonde, asked while smoking a cigarette during a slow time. Someone gave me $10 if I could jump over the bench out front without dropping his hot fudge sundae, JC said with a smile. Someone offered me $50 for my old clothes after my shift, Vanessa, a petite African-American woman in her 20s, admitted. Yuck, JC said. What did you do? I gave him the clothes, Vanessa shrugged. Really, Vanessa? JC said, shocked. What? Vanessa replied casually. The most I ever got was $5, Terry said. Not for old clothes, right? JC asked, and Terry shook her head. "Oh no, he's back," Vanessa said, recognizing Cecil's loud footsteps. "By the way, what's a snow bunny?" JC asked. "It's a term for a white girl working for someone who is black," Vanessa explained. "Why?" "He keeps calling me that," JC said, waving through the diner's window to catch John's attention. Cecil frowned as he saw the big man coming toward his car. "Look, all I want is something to eat, okay?" he shouted at John. "And I told you, turn that music off or leave," John shouted back. Fine there, Happy," Cecil grumbled, turning off the music. "Now send that girl over to take my order." "Nope, I'm right here. You can give me your order," John replied with a smirk, while JC and Vanessa skated by, trying to impress each other. Cecil watched as the two girls finished their round, picking up empty trays and trash from different cars. "Sir?" John called out, getting Cecil's attention. Yeah. I'll take a burger with everything and a diet soda," Cecil ordered. "Fries with that?" John asked. "Do they come with fries?" Cecil asked. "If you pay for them, they do," John said. "Then no," Cecil replied. "Really? Your underwear?" JC asked again. "What do you think he wanted them for?" "So he could smell them while he did something silly," Terry joked, laughing at JC's shocked face. "Really?" Melissa said in frustration. "Really? You've looked everywhere but can't find anything, huh?" "Yes, Mother, I have," Jennifer said, lying. "But put F on the application and suddenly no one wants to talk to you." "Then stop putting F on there. Come on, you were let go, right?" Melissa said. "Yeah, but it's still on my record. My lawyer's working on getting it removed, but until then I have to write it," Jennifer explained. JC wearily walked to her car. It had been a slow night, and for her, slow nights were even more exhausting than busy nights. At least during busy times, she kept moving. Stopping and starting again wore her out more. "Hey, I need to talk to you," Cecil snapped and reached for her. She quickly grabbed her pepper spray from her purse. Cecil yelled as the spray hit his eyes. Blindly, he tried to grab JC to knock the can out of her hand. JC kept spraying until he was on the ground, struggling to breathe. "I called the police," John shouted, holding up a phone. "Go tell your family you'll be a bit late getting home." Melvin was up and dressed before Bernice hung up the phone. "Be careful. Don't speed," Bernice warned. "My granddaughter's in trouble and you're worried about me speeding?" Melvin replied, out of breath. Melvin listened as Sheriff Dick Davis took everyone's statements. Since nothing much had happened other than Cecil trying to touch JC, there wasn't much that could be done. "So, are you saying she has to wait until something worse happens before you can take action?" Melvin asked the police officer, clearly frustrated. "No, what I'm saying is, if he had actually touched her, we could charge him with something. But it seems your granddaughter reacted quickly, so—" Dick explained calmly. Turning to Cecil, Dick said, "If you bother her again, we'll make sure there are consequences. Do you understand?" Cecil just groaned as the EMT finished rinsing his eyes. "It's going to sting for a bit, but you should be okay to drive," the EMT finally said. "Yeah, sure, that sounds good," JC said, then hung up the phone. "And how's your mother doing, dear?" Bernice asked, trying to hide her disapproval. "She's good, I guess," JC shrugged. "She wants to take me out for dinner to celebrate my graduation." "Oh, that's nice," Bernice replied, doing her best to sound cheerful. "Manny's Mexican. Pretty good food there," JC added, getting ready to leave. "Be careful, have fun, and love you," Bernice said warmly. JC peeked into the living room and smiled. Melvin was lying on the couch, snoring, with Pebbles the cat sleeping on his chest. "Grandma, can you grab the camera?" JC whispered. "Huh, what?" Melvin woke up startled when the flash from the camera went off. "Sorry, Grandpa," JC smiled. "Forgot to turn the flash off." "That scruffy animal! JC, get your cat off me!" Melvin grumbled. "Oh, I would if I had a cat," JC laughed as Melvin affectionately petted the cat's belly. After giving both Melvin and Pebbles a kiss, JC headed out. "I hate cats," Melvin muttered as he sat up. "I should throw this thing outside and let the coyotes have her." "Yeah, the cat looks really scared," Bernice smiled. "Now go wash your hands. Dinner's almost ready." "Where's JC going?" Melvin asked. "She's having dinner with her mother," Bernice said, the word mother barely masking her disapproval. Cecil smiled easily when he saw Jennifer, vaguely remembering her. "Just wait till you meet my daughter. You're going to love her," Jennifer said enthusiastically as they arrived at Manny's restaurant. Is she anything like her mom? Cecil asked casually. Not really, but kind of, Jennifer laughed. I guess if you gave me long brown hair, maybe we'd look alike. You might have seen her. She works over at that drive-in place. Clark's? Cecil asked. That's it, Jennifer said, playfully nudging his arm. Does she have long curly hair? Cecil asked, reaching into the console compartment of the car. Yeah, why do you ask? Jennifer noticed him retrieving something. Just checking, Cecil said with a calm smile. I never know what kind of people come into places like this, JC heard someone say. She walked into the building and spotted her mother sitting at a table. Her steps slowed when she noticed Cecil sitting next to her mom, grinning at her. Hi, Mom. What's he doing here? I thought it was just going to be the two of us, JC asked. Well, it was, Jennifer replied with a cheerful smile. But I ran into him. This is Cecil. He's an old boyfriend of mine, and I thought it would be nice to catch up. Cecil's smile widened, and he leaned back, making it clear he was hiding something. Oh, hey! JC called out, seeing Bobby Corvaros, one of the waitresses from Manny's restaurant. Mom, I'll be right back. I went to school with her. Hey, Bobby, JC said, walking over to hug Bobby, who looked surprised. Please call the police, JC whispered urgently into Bobby's ear. That man at my table has a gun. What? Bobby replied, her eyes wide. I know, it's so great to see you, JC said, smiling brightly. Bobby, come on, stop chatting and get back to work, Manny called out to his daughter. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, talk later, JC said loudly. Please, JC whispered to Bobby again. Bobby nodded and hurried to the kitchen. You ever come here to eat? JC asked, looking over her menu. Yeah, but that was years ago, before your father got me in trouble and sent me to prison, Jennifer said, her voice full of resentment. He's still in there, JC reminded her calmly. And I hope he stays there, Jennifer said, anger rising in her voice. So, how about the number 12? Have you ever tried that? JC asked, trying to change the subject. Ma'am, Officer Eric Green inquired, coming up. Is there a problem? Yes, officer. That man has a gun, and he's a convicted felon awaiting trial for a weapon charge, JC said, giving a wide smile to a shocked Cecil. Sir, please put your hands where I can see them and stand up slowly, Eric directed, his hand resting on his holster. You little brat, Cecil growled. So, Mom, JC said to her pale mother, are you supposed to be around other felons? What? Jennifer stuttered. I'm asking if you're supposed to be around other felons since you just got out of prison, JC said louder. Really? You hate me that much? Jennifer retorted angrily. Talking about my dad like that? Hoping he stays in prison? Yes, Mother, I do, JC answered, standing up. You do know he's not even your real father, Jennifer shot back as she stood up when Eric asked. You know what, Mom? JC smiled. He may not be my biological father, but it's his heart that beats in my chest. I'll look for you when I get out, Cecil said gruffly to JC. That's nice, JC replied with a sweet smile. Officer, you heard him make a threat, right? Yes, ma'am, I did, Eric replied quietly. Goodbye, Mother. Thanks for the nice dinner, JC said, waving to Bobby. JC stood up, walked across the stage, and received her diploma. She smiled at the three people who cheered when her name was called, then returned to her seat. After the ceremony, she hugged Jadia, Melissa, and Jaleesa, and thanked them for coming. Like I'd miss my granddaughter's college graduation? Melissa exclaimed with a joyful laugh. Where's... JC started to ask Jaleesa and then remembered that Rudy had gone to hospice last week. Robbie and Sammy? She quickly asked Jadia. Eric has them. It's his day off, Jadia replied with a smile. Oh no, don't tell me he has them out fishing again, JC asked, smiling. Jaleesa began to cough and JC turned to watch, feeling worried. Rudy was in the final stages of his illness, and Jaleesa didn't seem too well either. After a moment, with watery eyes, Jaleesa stopped coughing and offered a tight smile. Now, who's ready for Red Lobster? Melissa asked with forced cheer. May as well. I expect we'll have pizza tonight, Jadia laughed. Eric always says he'll bring home some fish, then comes back with wild stories about how they almost caught one, but... What can you expect? JC asked. He's more of a lover than a fisherman. Ooh, I can't wait to say that to him. Jadia laughed. Jaleesa, why don't you ride with me? JC offered, gently touching her sister's arm. Great. Jalissa smiled, showing a gap where one of her teeth used to be. JC led them through the parking lot until they reached the old Buick. "Can't believe you still have this car," Jalissa chuckled. "I offered it to you," JC reminded her. "But Rudy said you'd rather have the $2,000, remember?" "Yeah," Jalissa answered, her smile fading. "I don't think we kept that money for even a week before it was all spent." JC took off her robe and cap and put them in the trunk of the car before getting in. "Hey, JC?" Jalissa asked as they drove onto Johnson Street. "Yeah?" JC replied. "I know I've never said this, but I love you," Jalissa said. JC braced herself. The last time Jalissa had said she loved her, she was asking for money. When JC said no, they didn't talk for nearly a year. The next time they saw each other was at Grandma's funeral. Melvin had been the first to go from a heart attack. "He died watching the Saints," Bernice said through her tears, managing a weak smile. "On 3, JC whispered to the man in the casket. 1, 2, 3, go Saints." Bernice followed 3 months later. Complications from pneumonia, the doctor said. But JC believed her grandmother also died from sadness, feeling too alone without Melvin. At the funeral, Jalissa and Rudy had the nerve to ask about the will. So if there isn't a will, does everything get shared 3 ways? Rudy asked. "First," JC replied, trying to stay calm, "this is not the right time for such talks. Second, you are not family, so it's not your business. And third, there is a will. The probate is set for 3 weeks from tomorrow." Jalissa and Rudy left angrily, claiming JC had no right to say Rudy wasn't family. "I'm more family than you'll ever be, just so you know," Rudy shouted at JC. Jadia stood by JC, holding her hand tightly. JC smiled, realizing Jadia was scared of Rudy but wanted to support her sister. 3 weeks later, during the will reading, Rudy again made a scene when Sophia Kutra announced that Jalissa would only receive $10,000. Jadia thanked Sophia when she found out she would also get a $10,000 check. "And to our granddaughter, JC Alice Kay," Sophia continued. JC had her softball scholarship to cover college, and she never needed anything while living with Grandma and Grandpa. She proudly bought the fun things many teenage girls enjoy with her own earnings from working at Clark's, while Grandma and Grandpa took care of her basic needs. Melvin and Bernice left behind their house, 2 cars, and almost $800,000 in CDs, stocks, and savings. "Jadia, I don't need all of this," JC told her sister. "You have 2 kids. You should take some." "I'll take Grandma's car. Mine is falling apart," Jadia replied. "No, I mean you should take some of this money," JC insisted. "How about this, JC?" Jadia said. "Grandma and Grandpa wanted you to have it. You keep it. If I ever need anything, I'll come to you, all right?" JC made the same promise to Jalissa, while Rudy took charge of everything. "So how much did they leave you?" Rudy asked rudely. "Rudy, please, this is a private matter between my sister and me," JC said calmly. "No way, this involves your sister Maine and you," Rudy shouted. After thinking it over, JC decided Grandpa's car was worth $2,000. Since neither Jalissa nor Rudy wanted it, she would offer them the Blue Book value. "I'll bring the money tomorrow," JC said as she left the messy trailer where Jalissa and Rudy lived. Kenneth smiled as he looked at the graduation picture. "I really do have a beautiful daughter," he said aloud before setting the picture down to read her letter. It made him sad. Jennifer, for reasons that seemed either hurtful or sincere, had told JC that he, Kenneth Allen Kay, was not her real father. "I don't care," JC wrote in her neat handwriting. "To me, you will always be my daddy, the man I love, and I will keep calling you Daddy forever." Jadia had also been told that Kenneth was not her father, but she simply shrugged, which upset her mother. "Don't you want to know who your real father is?" Jennifer shouted. "I know who my father is," Jadia replied, continuing to mash bananas for the bread she was making. "My father is Kenneth Kay, a man who set aside some of his dreams to support his family. Did you know he had a baseball scholarship and some teams were interested in him?" "So what?" Jennifer said, uninterested. "Well, he was a great bass player too. Grandpa didn't like rock and roll, but even he said Daddy was really talented and could have been a star, but chose to get a steady job when he became a father," Jadia added, stirring in sugar. "Tell me, Mom, did you give up anything for us? My father, whoever he is, does he give anything up for us? Unless he left me a huge inheritance? I don't really care who he is. Kenneth put down Jadia's short letter and smiled at the pictures she sent. Her fiancé was a police officer in Bender, Louisiana, and he clearly took pride in his uniform. In one photo, Jadia laughed as Eric Green tried to take his cap back from her. Another picture showed Jadia with her brothers, Robert and Samuel. Robert was dressed in a toy police uniform, and Samuel wore a toy fireman's outfit. Kenneth looked again, feeling grateful. In both photographs, Jadia was wearing long sleeves that hid her tattoos. Good girl, he smiled. From what he could understand from her note, Jennifer had told her that he wasn't her father, but Jadia didn't mind. He was her father to her. Good girl, he said again. The letter from Jalissa was a big surprise, and he carefully pulled the 3 sheets of paper from the envelope. It looked like Jalissa didn't trust her handwriting. The letter was printed out. He chuckled to himself. She had chosen a bold text style. Is my eyesight getting bad? He wondered. Dear Kenneth, her letter began, and although he knew he wasn't her real father, it still hurt that she didn't call him father, daddy, or dad. So Mother came over and told me you're not my father, the letter went on. I'm sorry. I can't think of another man I would be prouder to call my father. He read more of her letter. She apologized for her past actions, her disrespect, and her attitude toward him. Tears came to his eyes as she revealed that she was in a hospice facing a serious illness. No one did this to me but me, the letter said. I made the choice myself, not you, not Mother, not Rudy, just me, it continued. Kenneth, I know I was not a good daughter, and you've always been a kind and loving dad, Jalissa wrote. He smiled softly. She signed it, All my love, Jalissa. Dear Jalissa, he wrote back. Jalissa smiled as the nurse's aide read the letter to her. She was too weak to hold the pages or lift her head long enough to read it herself. Love, Daddy, the nurse's aide finished reading. Really? Jalissa asked. He signed it, Love, Daddy? Right here, you can see for yourself, the nurse's aide said, showing her the letter. Read it again, please, Jalissa requested. Okay, the young woman smiled and started again. Show me, Melissa insisted. Show you what? Jennifer replied. Show me where you've been looking. If I were out there looking for work, I would have found something by now, Melissa shouted. Nobody's hiring, Jennifer yelled back. Every place I've been, they just say, thanks, we'll be in touch, and that's it. Have you been to Babbage's? Have you checked that new place on 52? Melissa asked. I told you, they see an F on the application and don't even look at the rest of it. Oh, come on, stop feeling sorry for yourself. Fill out the application and ask for a job, okay? Melissa said and walked into the kitchen. I'm guessing you want me to make dinner too, right? Jennifer said with a hint of annoyance. She got up from the couch, her body feeling heavier, and walked into the kitchen. No, don't worry, I'll take care of it. What do we have to work with? She asked. You've been here all day and haven't checked once? Melissa replied, frustration clear in her voice. Jennifer quickly cooked the ground turkey and set a plate in front of her mother before fixing one for herself. Once they finished eating, both women returned to the living room to watch television. Melissa selected a show she knew Jennifer wouldn't like, an investigative report. It's your house, so you can watch what you want. But here, we watch what I choose, Melissa said with a smirk, turning up the volume. Kenneth walked into the bright, bustling room with little hope. Again, he faced the 3 people from the state who were there to decide whether he could live a better life outside of prison. He sat down and looked at the 2 uneasy men and 1 woman who didn't look pleased. Even in her 60s, the woman still wore her long hair like she did in her youth and used old-fashioned slang. He answered their questions with care, knowing that his chances of getting out were slim. There were 3 unexplained deaths linked to him, and he decided not to mention that there were actually 6. He felt a strange satisfaction in pretending to be someone he wasn't. Well, sir, he said to one of the men, my parents passed away and I couldn't attend their funerals, so the first thing I'd want to do is visit their graves, you know? My middle daughter? She has a serious illness and doesn't have much time left, so I'd like to see her and say goodbye. I also have 2 grandsons, and I would really love to see them. He almost smiled. The woman appeared to be touched by his words, nodding along. But even if she believed him, the 2 men in their mismatched suits would likely not be swayed. About the mattress factory? I'm not sure they'd take me back after 9 years. Honestly, I don't even know what jobs are out there. I'm 48 now, and I guess the best I could hope for is something like a janitor's position. For nearly an hour, Kenneth responded to their questions, trying hard not to tell the officials how he truly felt about the process and about them. "Thank you, Mr. K," one of the men said, and he was taken out of the room. "I really hope you get out of here. It's not good being stuck like this," Frederick Parr said, looking serious. "You and I both know there's no way they'll let me out of here, so don't bother wishing for it," Kenneth replied as he walked down the dim hallway. JC took a moment to calm herself, then grabbed her laptop and purse before getting out of the car. Through the tinted glass doors of Young Insurance, she saw a woman sitting behind a desk, looking rather bored. The woman's shirt was a bit tight and had a few buttons undone, revealing some colorful tattoos that were easy to see. JC was glad when Jadia asked her for some money to help remove a few of her tattoos. "Not the flowers," Jadia had joked. "Eric likes the garden." "Too much information," JC had laughed. "How much do you need?" JC smiled at the receptionist and was a little confused when the woman looked surprised, then returned JC's smile. "Hi, can I help you?" Michelle Ruiz asked. "Yes, I'm JC K, here to see Elizabeth Baggett," JC said. "Miss Baggett?" Michelle pressed a button. "Yes?" a voice responded. JC K is here to see you," Michelle said. "Please send her back," the voice said. "Down that hall, first door on the right," Michelle said, pointing with her brightly painted fingernail. "Thank you," JC said, following her directions. When she entered the office, JC understood why Michelle had been surprised. Her twin sat on the other side of the desk. Elizabeth Baggett had long, dark, curly hair and deep brown eyes. She had a strong jaw and a warm smile. When she stood up to shake JC's hand, they were both the same height. "You went to St. Thomas Aquinas," JC said, smiling more. "I remember. People always asked if you were my big sister." "I can see why," Elizabeth beamed. "But I'm sorry, I don't recall." "No reason you would," JC laughed. "I was just an 8th grader when you were a senior." "Go Avengers," Elizabeth said with a smile. "And so you're here. I'm sure you hear this all the time. I'm looking for a job. I just graduated from ULL with a degree in business admin and a GPA of 3.92, JC explained, pulling out her resume. "Got it right here," Elizabeth said as she sat back down. "I printed the email you sent me. There was another girl people said we looked alike, JC began to say. "Madison Marcoloni?" Elizabeth guessed. "Yeah, people were always confusing us, even though I had really short hair back then, and she had long, straight hair," JC said. "That's right. Madison," Elizabeth replied with a smile. "Okay, let's see," Elizabeth said, picking up JC's resume. "You worked at Clark's for 6 years? That's impressive. I mean, sometimes I see resumes with 10 or 15 jobs, and I think, why would I hire you? You'll probably leave in a month or two, you know?" "Well, I really enjoyed working at Clark's," JC explained. "But I didn't go to college just to hang out in shorts in the cold, you know." "Oh, I know who you are," Elizabeth laughed. "You're the girl who jumps those benches out front." "Yep, that's me," JC chuckled. "Have you ever fallen?" Elizabeth asked. "A couple of times. One day I had a bunch of sundaes and I didn't secure one properly. It started slipping, and when I tried to fix it, I ended up spilling everything everywhere," JC reminisced with a smile. "The guys felt so bad for me that they got out of their car and helped clean it up before I got back with their new sundaes. I ended up with a $20 tip." "Well, I guess it might be a little dull around here," Elizabeth said with a smile. "Not at all," JC grinned. "There's a skate park out in Flowers. It's mainly for skateboarders, but I go out there and show them what I can do. And on Sundays, I go motocross racing. Trust me, I won't be missing anything." "Motocross?" Elizabeth said, her eyes wide with surprise. JC had found her father's motocross trophies and had begged Melvin to tell her stories about her dad's motorcycle racing days. Then they heard about a race in Jack's Creek, and JC convinced Melvin to take her to see it. The sun was scorching, the track was dusty, the snack stands were out of drinks, the noise was loud, and JC loved every moment. "Here's the 125 class," Melvin had said. "That's the class your daddy raced in. They used to call it the animal class, a bunch of kids who didn't realize they could get hurt out there." JC watched as the 14 boys raced around the track, pushing and shouting as they fought for position. "Oh my God!" JC yelled as one biker barely missed hitting another after a huge jump. I'm going to do that, JC told her grandpa firmly as they drove home from that hot Sunday. Melvin looked at the sunburned girl and nodded. He knew he couldn't change her mind, and he was sure her grandmother wouldn't approve, but that wouldn't stop JC either. At first, he tried to get her an old Honda 100. The 14-year-old girl looked at the bike, then looked at Melvin with disappointment. Where are the flowers and the basket? She asked. I mean, really, if you're going to get me a bike like that, you might as well get everything else for it too, right? So he agreed and got her a 1998 Yamaha YZ125. Okay, it's a little older, he said. It's perfect, JC replied, and they got to work taking it apart. They made some changes to the engine, added a new sleeve in the exhaust pipe, bought wider handlebars and lighter rims for it. Then, they waited for the next Sunday to arrive. I wouldn't let my daughter race in that class, a man said while they signed JC up. That's why she isn't your daughter, Melvin replied firmly. JC's first race with 9 boys went poorly in her opinion. After 2 heats, she finished in 4th place. What? Melvin asked, astonished, as he helped JC load the bike onto the trailer while she was crying. What are you upset about? This was your first race. You beat 6 boys. Are any of them crying? But I wanted to win, JC exclaimed. Honey, we all want that, Melvin said, hugging her tightly. Next time will be better, okay? Kenneth was a bit upset when he received a photo of a smiling JC holding her second-place trophy. And would you have listened to us if we said not to race? Bernice wrote to him. Oh, wait, we did say that and you raced anyway. His heart dropped when he saw the photo of her racing. His little girl right in the action with the bikes, competing for the lead. Oh my God, he wrote to his father. I didn't realize how scary it must have been for you to see me doing all that. And we made it through, Melvin wrote back. And we'll get through this, too. Melvin sent in pictures of JC's first-place win, and Kenneth felt shocked. It had rained a lot the day before, and the track was muddy by the time the class lined up. The boy next to JC, Bobby, had a habit of pushing others out during turns. The first turn went left, which meant he would be pushing into her. So when the gate opened, she moved to her left, making Bobby almost come to a stop. Mud splattered onto her face, chest, and legs. JC was thankful for the goggles her grandpa insisted she wear, and for the mouth guard her grandma provided. We spent too much money on your teeth to let anything happen to them, Bernice said with concern. I don't care if it seems silly. You're wearing the guard. By the end of the first lap, JC had to wipe her goggles to see clearly. She took the lead in the second lap and didn't have to clean her goggles. When no one is throwing mud in your face, you don't have to wipe it away. You cut me off, Bobby accused angrily as JC cleaned her muddy face. Oh, poor baby, JC teased, her voice sounding like a little girl. Watch out next time, Bobby shot back, then yelped as Melvin grabbed him by his jersey and lifted him off the ground. Apologize for calling her that or I will teach you a lesson, Melvin warned. In the next heat, Bobby tried to push her off, but JC stood her ground, and Bobby had to back down at the first turn. A girl? Robert Orino shouted at his son. You let a girl beat you? Come on, we're going home and putting this bike up for sale. I'm spending all this money and you let some girl win. Kenneth was surprised at how dirty JC looked as she held her first-place trophy. One photo showed her unzipping her leather jacket, revealing her soaked and muddy jersey. Another photo showed her dressed in only socks and a bra with her skin covered in mud. In all the photos, JC's dirty face was shining with joy. You still race? Elizabeth asked. Yeah, I moved up from the 125 class. I have a YZ 250 now, JC replied with a smile. Isn't it dangerous? Elizabeth asked. JC held back a sarcastic answer. She was trying to get a job. Well, that's why we wear protective gear, JC explained. So when's the next race? Elizabeth inquired. Sunday, Turkey Creek, JC said happily. Want to come? Elizabeth looked a bit worried. Did it show on her face that she was in a special relationship? JC seemed friendly and warm, with no hints that would give it away. I don't know, Elizabeth said, relaxing a bit. I have a 2-year-old. He might not like all that noise. Little boys? JC laughed. Most of them love the noise. Just then, Michelle chose to interrupt her supervisor. Elizabeth had inherited Michelle from the previous manager and had already written her up twice. Michelle's revealing outfit was the last straw for Elizabeth. Michelle made a mistake by sending one of Grant Johnson's clients to Elizabeth's office instead of Grant's. She did this because the man seemed upset. Michelle didn't get along with Elizabeth and often sent difficult clients to her office just to be mean. "You aren't Grant!" the man shouted as he burst into Elizabeth's office. "Second door on the left," Elizabeth replied calmly. "Then why did that woman send me to the first door on the right?" he yelled, slamming the door behind him. "One last question, Miss Kay," Elizabeth asked, clearly annoyed. "Do you have any visible tattoos?" Just one, but you can only see it if I take off my bra," JC said quietly. She pointed to her left side. "It's a flaming heart with I Heart My Daddy written inside," JC added, blushing. "Nice," Elizabeth smiled. "I don't have any tattoos, but if I got one, that would be cool. I mean, my daddy is the best man, but my mom never loved him and—" JC started. "The best man next to my daddy," Elizabeth interrupted. "No way," JC said in a playful, high voice. "Yes way," Elizabeth replied, then stood up. She held out her hand and gave JC's hand a firm shake. "Miss Kay, I'm looking for a new receptionist with a chance for more in the future. Are you interested?" Elizabeth asked. "Yes, ma'am," JC smiled brightly. "I'm sorry you'll have to learn as you go. I doubt Michelle will help you much when I let her go," Elizabeth said. "Could you wait in the lunchroom? It's the last door on the left." "Yes, ma'am," JC replied with a smile. Jadia looked at Eric and tried not to cry. "So?" Eric asked, feeling uneasy in the silence. "Yes, I want to marry you. I love you so much," Jadia said with a sigh. "Then what's wrong?" he asked, trying to hold back his frustration. "It's a bit silly, but I really want my daddy to walk me down the aisle," Jadia admitted, a small sob in her throat. "Is there any chance he will get paroled?" Eric asked. "I don't know. I should ask JC. She knows all about that," Jadia replied with another sigh. She cupped his face in her hands and looked deeply into his eyes. "Please believe me. I love you, and I can't wait to be Mrs. Eric Green. But I keep hoping that if I wait a little longer, maybe my daddy will come home," Jadia confessed. JC stepped into her home. The house was quiet, but it always felt empty without Melvin, Bernice, and Pebbles. After Pebbles passed away, she thought about getting another cat, but it felt wrong to her. She didn't want to replace her dear friend. She took a deep breath and took off her shoes. Her first day at her new job had been fun and a little nerve-wracking. Elizabeth had tried to help her, but some things about the phone system were only known by Michelle, who wasn't there to assist JC. Michelle had gathered a few personal items from her desk, dropped her keys, and left in tears. JC put her shoes away in the closet, then changed into her father's baseball jersey. She felt lucky that her grandmother had kept her father's things after he got married and moved out. Outside the bargain bin, Jennifer stood waiting. She looked at the people leaving and those entering, feeling they were below her. Her mother had made it clear, get a job or find somewhere else to live. Jennifer's sister Jadia had moved in with her fiancé into a nice trailer. After some hesitation, Jadia finally told their mother there was no room for her. "I put a roof over your head for so long," Jennifer had snapped at her. "No, you didn't. Daddy did," Jadia replied sharply. And JC, living alone in a big house, had opened the door just a crack. With a sweet but condescending voice, she asked, "Can I help you?" Jennifer was taken aback. "Is that how you greet your mother?" she asked. JC calmly said, "I thought it was nicer than other options," and then shut the door. Jennifer heard the click of the deadbolt. With a heavy heart, she climbed into Melissa's shaky car and headed for the bargain bin, where a sign said they were hiring. Steeling herself, she pushed open the door to the big building. "Hi, welcome to the bargain bin," greeted a young woman. "How can I help you today?" "I'm looking for a job," Jennifer replied. "Oh, you're in luck," the young woman said with a big smile. "We're really busy. If you can multitask, you're hired." "Even if I have a felony record?" Jennifer asked. "Yep, I have a felony on mine too," Mindy Laporte said, her smile still bright. "2 charges, actually. One for trying to sell drugs and another for attempted harm, plus a couple of minor issues for asking for help. Grace doesn't care about that as long as you show up, do your part, and don't try to cheat us." She turned and waved to a larger woman who was talking to a customer. Plus sizes are right over there. Buy 3, get 20% off the 4th item of equal or lesser price, right, Mindy? Grace said. She's looking for a job, but worries because she has a felony on her record, Mindy explained, then smiled brightly as 3 high school boys walked in. Yeah, me too, Grace shrugged. I even have the tattoos to prove it. St. Gabriel's. What about you? Me too. St. Gabriel. I spent 5 years for something I didn't do, Jennifer said. Like playing with fire? Grace asked, trying not to smile. No, I didn't do it, Jennifer replied. Okay, come with me, Grace said, and led Jennifer to the back of the store. Here, fill this out. There's an apron under that cabinet. Walk around the store and learn where things are, then get to work, Grace said, handing Jennifer a single-page application. And hurry up, please. Mike didn't show up, so we need extra help. What should I be doing? Jennifer asked, a bit anxious. Just help people, show them where to find things, and when we close at 9, help tidy up. And if you see something on the floor, pick it up and put it where it belongs, Grace said before leaving Jennifer to fill out the application. Great, Jennifer said, feeling a bit unhappy. She filled out the application, found a bargain bin apron, and looked around. The layout was pretty simple. Baby and children's clothes were in the front right corner of the store. Larger kids' clothes were in the middle right area, and men's clothes were at the back right. Petites and juniors were in the front left, with clearance racks in the middle left, and the plus-size section was at the back left. In the middle were all the typical women's clothes. Oh, this is cute, she said, picking up a top that had fallen off a hanger. Employees get a 40% discount on non-sale items and 10% on sale items, Mindy cheerfully said as she walked by, arms filled with several tops. JC enjoyed her favorite activity, looking at the photograph albums that Melvin and Bernice had put together of her dad. Kenneth was an only child, so there were many photos of him taken over the years. She smiled warmly as she looked at the pictures from his childhood. Sipping her single glass of wine, JC looked at his teenage years, gazing at a picture from his senior prom. The smiling girl next to her handsome dad was a mystery. It was the only photo of the dark-haired girl. Melvin and Bernice admitted they couldn't remember the woman's name, and she wasn't in any of their father's high school yearbooks. Looking through the photos of his baseball days made her feel sad. He could have achieved more than just working at a mattress factory, but he chose to marry her mother, believing it was the right thing to do. She glanced at the wedding album and smiled at Jennifer's white dress. The noise in Angola never stops, even at night. It just changes into a different kind of noise. Kenneth lay awake, ignoring the sounds around him. Jalissa had lost her battle with AIDS. Both JC and Jadia had written to tell him about her passing. JC's letter said that a nurse's aide had told her that Kenneth's letter was Jalissa's favorite. She insisted that the aide read it to her every day. So I read it to her one more time, JC wrote. It made me cry. Your words were so lovely. I love you, Daddy. I love you, Kenneth responded softly. With all the noise around him, no one heard his words. The end. I write these stories for my enjoyment and share them here for yours. Constructive comments are always welcome. Notes or emails from Anonymous will be deleted. If you don't have the courage to share your name with your opinions, I don't have time to read them. Kenneth looked out the window at the dark night. The van creaked and rattled over every bump in the road and finally stopped in front of a convenience store. He had spent 9 long years in prison for causing a big fire. He was being released thanks to Miss Woodstock, the aging hippie on the parole board. Miss Goldman had approved his application. Miss Goldman, you can't be serious, Mr. Stockton exclaimed. He has served most of his sentence. What good does it do to keep him here? Miss Goldman argued. What is the point of that? Miss Goldman, he was investigated 3 times for the death of another inmate. And each time there was no evidence against him. If there was no proof, we can't be sure it was him or anyone else for that matter, she pointed out. You know what, Miss Goldman? I hope he lives right next door to you, Mr. Broussard said angrily as he signed the application. I would be glad to have him as a neighbor, Miss Goldman replied, not truthfully. Kenneth Kay and the other newly released inmates stepped off the van into the warm air. Where to? The tired assistant warden asked as he moved to the counter. Where what? Kenneth replied. Where am I buying a bus ticket to? The man asked, his patience wearing thin. DeGard, Kenneth answered. Is that in Louisiana? The man asked. Yes, Kenneth replied. $97.50, the Asian man stated, and frowned as he received the purchase order. The man turned to the other three and bought 3 tickets to New Orleans. The Asian man frowned again when he got paid with purchase orders. Vouchers are no good, he argued. You'll have to wait 2 or 3 weeks for the money to come. That's fine, but I'll let the state know you don't want to do business with us anymore, the man threatened. Kenneth looked at the ticket and tried not to sigh. The printout showed he would be waiting nearly 13 hours for the next bus. 5 hours? Another man complained. I've been here 5 hours waiting for that bus? Kenneth walked through the aisles of the store and finally chose a microwave burrito. No voucher? The Asian man insisted. Cash, Kenneth replied, handing over a $5 bill. Hey, man, one of the other released convicts smiled at Kenneth. Hey, man, you just saw my last $5 and I have 13 hours to go before my bus comes, Kenneth said, lying a little. He took a bite of the cold burrito, chewed, and then swallowed hard. And I have another 7 hours until my bus arrives at my stop. So this has to last me 20 hours. So what were you going to say? When the Greyhound bus to New Orleans finally arrived, Kenneth was almost ready to go back to Angola. The other 3 had money for cigarettes and even a few lottery tickets, but none of them could buy coffee or snacks and kept asking Kenneth for a few dollars. What part of no do you not understand? He said. It was no an hour ago and that hasn't changed. No refills, the new clerk shouted. Kenneth walked to the counter and showed the elderly Asian woman his coffee cup. It clearly said free refills on the side. She frowned and accused him of using too much sugar. Hey man, you could have shared that cup. We could have gotten some coffee too, one of the 3 said. Too bad. Look, your bus is here. Bye, Kenneth replied. No bathroom, the elderly woman shouted when Kenneth approached the counter again. Look, you have a bathroom. Just show me where it is, okay? Kenneth snapped. No cursing. Don't talk to me like that. You leave or I'll call the police, she yelled. Go ahead and call them, Kenneth said, pretending to be brave. Reluctantly, the woman unlocked a small closet. The bathroom was also a storage space filled with boxes of candy bars. She stood with the door wide open while Kenneth waited outside. You won't steal anything, the woman said as she finally shut the door. Kenneth wasn't a big fan of sweets, but he felt tempted to take some candy bars just to annoy the strict woman. With my luck, he thought, she's probably watching me through a hole in the door. It felt nice to have a moment of peace. When he came out, he noticed the elderly woman was not as loud. 2 teenagers were standing there demanding her money. Help me, please, she cried out to Kenneth. Why would I help you? He snapped back. You spend all your time yelling at me and now you want my help? No way. Let them take what they want. He turned to the taller of the 2 teens. Is it all right if I grab some juice? I'm really thirsty, he asked. Go ahead, the kid chuckled. No, you have to pay for that, the woman shouted. Just open the safe, lady, the tall kid ordered. Kenneth spotted some juice bottles and smiled a little. They were very expensive, but he figured the woman would want him to pay for them later. He picked up the heavy glass bottles and glanced over at the teenagers. He hadn't been on a baseball field in years, but now he was just a short distance away from them. Both teenagers fell to the ground when the juice bottles hit them in the back of their heads. Call the police, Kenneth demanded as he kicked their guns away. The police arrived quickly, and the teens were whining about their heads as they were put into the police car. The old woman handed Kenneth a microwave hamburger and a beer, what he guessed was her way of saying thank you. When his bus arrived, the driver looked at him suspiciously as he handed over his crumpled ticket. Kenneth took a seat by the window. Jennifer watched with mild interest as Grace fussed over a very short woman. The woman was pushing a baby stroller with a chubby boy in it and looked very pregnant. She wore big glasses and had long brown hair. Where's Georgette? Grace asked. At St. Richard's, Mary smiled. It's her first day of kindergarten. Ah, Grace replied. Who is that? Jennifer asked Mindy. That's Mary, isn't she lovely? Mindy said excitedly. Jennifer looked at the pregnant woman again and shrugged. Go talk to her. You'll see for yourself, Mindy encouraged. Hi, I'm Jennifer. Can I help you with anything? Jennifer asked the small woman, who responded with a bright smile. Mary, This is Jennifer Kay. She's our newest employee, Grace introduced them. Nice to meet you, Mary said, smiling and giving Jennifer's hand a friendly pat. But no thanks. I just came by to say hi to Grace and Mindy. We all went to school together. Jennifer couldn't quite understand why, but she felt a pull toward the small woman, attracted by her warmth and happiness. You got the check, right? I sent it, Grace asked, eager to please the woman. Yes, thank you. It arrived right on time, Mary said, then noticed a tiny one-piece outfit. Oh, isn't that adorable? Is Tommy still in a 24-month size? Grace quickly asked. Yeah, for now. Mary laughed happily. I swear he's going to be as big as his daddy. I'll get it, Mindy called out, rushing to the stockroom. She's the owner of the store, Mindy told Jennifer after Mary left. Grace read about a store that caught fire and all the clothes were ruined when the sprinkler went off. They just needed washing, but they couldn't be sold as new. Grace figured she could buy them at a great price, but she needed someone with money. Since she has a past, no bank would help her. Then she met Mary at church, and without hesitation, Mary wrote Grace a check for $100,000. I asked her how she could do that, Grace interrupted, and she said, I have faith in Jesus and trust he is with you. I got down on my knees right there in the parking lot, begging for Jesus to forgive me. Then she came in here and I tried to act cool, Mindy continued. I asked her, wow, you have one, another on the way, and maybe more coming. She had Georgette with her, and she was just beginning to show. Mary looked at me with her lovely smile and said, I'm just here to help, and will happily have as many children as I'm meant to have. Mindy wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I looked at her beautiful smile and fell to the floor, begging her to show me how to do the same, Mindy confessed. I told her I feel lost, and she knelt down beside me. Even Georgette joined in. Mary held my hand and softly told me that Jesus welcomes everyone, regardless of their mistakes. Jennifer studied the young woman and then glanced at the peacefully smiling Grace, making a silent promise to keep her distance from Mary Kowalski. Kenneth groaned as the DeGard Inn's neon sign showing vacancy came into view in front of the bus. It had been a long and tiring trip, with many stops along the way from Angola to DeGard, wherever there was a street lamp. Thank you, he said softly to the bus driver as he got off the bus, stepping into the warm evening air. Daddy! He heard a little girl shout, and he nearly lost his balance as a woman ran to him and hugged him tightly. The young woman kissed him quickly, her joy evident as she kept saying, Daddy! She hugged him closely, and he was taken by surprise at her warm welcome. Do you have any bags? Do we need to wait for anything? Is there something to check in, or can we just leave? JC asked in a rush as the bus driver stepped off the bus, glancing between them. Just a box, Kenneth replied, feeling a bit uncomfortable with JC's enthusiastic greeting. Here you go, the bus driver said cheerfully, handing over the box with a smile. Is that all? Can we go now? JC asked, looking eager. She quickly led Kenneth to an old Buick and opened the passenger door for him. He felt a bit embarrassed for how he responded to her friendly gestures. He tried to shake off his thoughts as she hurried to the driver's seat. Are you hungry? I wanted to make you a special dinner at home, but I wasn't sure if the bus would be on time. I didn't want it to be cold or burnt, so I thought we could just grab a hamburger and a chocolate malt instead. When was the last time you had one? I can't wait to see you. So, how does a burger and malt sound? You hungry? JC said, her words coming out quickly in her cheerful voice. Sounds perfect, Kenneth replied, and she smiled widely as they arrived at Clark's drive-in. Watch this, JC said with excitement as Terry came out from the nearby building. Terry jumped over a bench, spun around, and skated toward JC's car, her playful energy shining through. JC honked the horn just as Terry turned around in surprise. Hey, you! Terry exclaimed when she recognized JC. Hey yourself, adjust your shorts, you're flashing everyone, JC joked. Don't like it? Then don't look, Terry laughed. Who's the handsome guy with you? My daddy, JC said proudly. Daddy, this is Terry. She's my best friend. Terry, this is Kenneth Kay. Is it okay if I call you Daddy, too? Terry asked playfully, glancing at Kenneth. No, JC said firmly. My daddy. Party pooper, Terry said, making the two girls laugh. Okay, get me a burger. Daddy, what do you want on it? JC asked. Everything, Kenneth replied. And a chocolate malt. Is that okay, Daddy? JC continued. Yeah, you convinced me, Kenneth said with a smile. And I want a chili burger, but not too many jalapenos, and a root beer float, JC added. Got it, Terry said cheerfully as she skated back to the small building. Wow! Kenneth exclaimed as another waitress skated out, catching everyone's attention. The girl skillfully skated around while balancing a tray, then jumped onto a small concrete table, skating across it and landing on the other side. The 4 teenage boys at the table cheered. She set down the food and waited for them to pay. That's Julie, JC said proudly. I showed her how to do that trick. You just skate around, check the table, and then jump. I bet she drops our food, Kenneth joked as Terry came out with their order. Better not, JC laughed. I'll remind her forever if she does. Kenneth happily took a bite of his burger, which was cooked just right, with all the flavors blending perfectly. The malt was thick, but still easy to drink through the straw. Want to try mine? JC asked, holding out her burger. Sure. It's been ages since I had a jalapeno, Kenneth said, reaching for it. Here, just take a bite, JC said, offering her burger. Kenneth took a bite and reacted, surprised by the spiciness of the pepper. Mmm, he exclaimed, quickly taking a sip of his malt. Let me have a taste of yours, JC said, and Kenneth held out his burger. He felt her lips lightly touch his fingers as she took a bite. Mmm, she said after chewing. That's good, but I prefer mine. How's your malt? It's good, Kenneth replied, slightly embarrassed. Let me try, JC said, taking a sip from his straw. Want some? She asked, offering it back to him. I'm not really a fan of root beer. It's too sweet for me, he admitted. Oh, okay, JC said with a shrug, smiling as Terry skated by, collecting trays and trash. Looks like she still has to adjust her shorts, Kenneth said with a grin. Yeah, they keep creeping up, JC admitted. John, the owner, is a bit silly like that. He thinks it keeps customers coming back. He's right, it does keep them coming back. And Dad let you work here? Kenneth asked, surprised. Grandpa didn't like it much, but Grandma told him, all those other girls have grandpas too, and their grandpas let them work here. That settled it, JC said, smiling a bit sadly, thinking of her grandma and grandpa. Kenneth watched as Julie skated over to say hello. JC noticed Kenneth's eyes glance at Julie and smiled. Mine are a full cup size bigger, she added, teasing him lightly. Hey, Julie, this is my daddy, Kenneth K., JC introduced him. Daddy, this is Julie. She couldn't even stand up in skates when she first started here. Really? Julie smiled. So JC said you were in Angola? Is that true, or is she just making it up? Yeah, he went there for a serious mistake, JC said, feeling a bit protective of her daddy. Arson, Kenneth said, reassuring JC as he touched her arm gently. It's pretty much common knowledge. Sorry, Julie said, looking apologetic. It's all right, Kenneth replied, focusing on Julie while they chatted. I'm not embarrassed about it. Nice to meet you. Hope to see you around, Julie said, taking a tray from the car and skating away. Kenneth let out a big yawn, and JC giggled as she started the car. If you can yawn like that, you must be tired, she joked, carefully driving out. Once they got home, JC led him into the master bedroom. I didn't mention it earlier, but wow, you really need a shower. There's some shaving cream and razors, and the blue toothbrush is yours, all right? She said. Oh, sorry about that, Kenneth said, realizing he needed to freshen up. Did you just work out? JC asked, putting a hand on his big arm. Yeah, not much else to do, Kenneth said. Oh, I'm so glad to finally have you home, JC said excitedly, giving him a warm hug. Glad to be home, he whispered, feeling emotional. Now go take a shower, she whispered back, giving him a quick kiss. And shave that off, she teased, playfully touching his goatee. Oh, you don't like it? He asked, rubbing his chin. No, my daddy is too handsome to hide his face like that, JC said, playfully pushing him toward the bathroom. Go on, we both need to unwind. Kenneth closed the bathroom door, wanting some privacy to change. JC took off her borrowed dress and hung it up, feeling grateful for the night they had shared. She put on her old Clark's Drive-In shirt and a pair of pink underwear before climbing into bed. Lying back, she listened to the sound of the shower. She imagined him washing up and how the water flowed down his strong body. Oh, yes, she whispered in delight. Resisting the urge to continue, she turned off her bedside lamps. Hey, where am I sleeping tonight? Kenneth asked as he stepped out of the bathroom in his old boxers, holding them up with one hand. Right here, JC said, patting the bed. I haven't seen you in 9 years. I want to sleep with you close by and wake up to you tomorrow. Okay, Kenneth replied, carefully getting into bed and making sure his boxers stayed in place. Good night, Daddy. I love you, JC whispered as he turned off his lamp. Good night, baby girl. I love you too, Kenneth said softly, receiving a warm kiss and a contented sigh as she lay down, holding onto his arm gently. Kenneth walked into the kitchen, the smell of bacon and coffee catching his attention. Wearing one of his old robes that barely reached his knees, he was glad it was better than his loose boxers. He had woken up to find his boxers bunched around his knees. He tightened his jaw as JC moved around the kitchen in bright pink underwear and a short-to-shirt. Hi, Daddy, she smiled, dancing over to him. She gave him a kiss that felt too warm and close for comfort. Eggs over medium okay with you? She asked, taking a plate of bacon and toast and adding 3 eggs. Yeah, that's great, he said, trying to stay relaxed. Her cheerful movements filled the room as she poured him a cup of coffee and set his meal at the table. Oh, that's much better, she said, smoothing his chin. Can you shave the mustache? Jadia's wedding is this Saturday and you'd look so much nicer without it. Please? Okay, he agreed, starting to enjoy his breakfast. It was the first really good meal he had in years. Prison food is often served warm but gets cold quickly. By the time a prisoner finds a seat, it's almost cold. In prison, he said after she set her plate down and sat beside him, everyone has a clean-shaven face. To show you're tough, you grow a beard and mustache. No one here thinks you're weak, she replied, looking into his eyes. They ate quietly, her hand resting on his leg under the table. Okay, I need to get ready for work, she said. I wished I could take today off, but I just started a few weeks ago. I'll be back for lunch, and tonight we need to go to Andy's. You need to get measured for your tuxedo. Did Jadia tell you? You're walking her down the aisle. She was so excited when I told her you'd be out. JC quickly picked up their plates and gave him a quick kiss before hurrying down the hall. There's more coffee. Help yourself. Oh, I washed your clothes. They're here on the bed whenever you're ready to get dressed. 20 minutes later, she returned to the kitchen, brushing her long, curly hair. I'll be back around 12, okay? I'm taking you to my favorite place to eat, Bombay's in Kimball. I've already told Elizabeth I'll be late. I love you. See you soon, she said, giving him a tight hug and kissing him on the lips. He pulled back slightly when she kissed him, and she smiled before rushing out. A second later, he heard the door shut. Hurrying to the bedroom they shared last night, he went into the bathroom, opened his robe, and felt a sudden urge. After a moment, he felt a wave of guilt wash over him for having such thoughts. True to her word, JC arrived at noon and ran into the house, calling for him. Ready? She asked, hugging Kenneth tightly before taking his hand to lead him to the car. You said this was your second favorite place? Kenneth asked as she drove down Highway 19. Yes, I love their food, JC replied. Then what's your first favorite? He asked. Clark's. We went there last night, remember? JC laughed. Oh, he said with a smile. And thank you, she continued, playfully touching his clean-shaven face. You look so much better. Oh, I scheduled an appointment for you with Emily to get your hair cut. You'll really like her. Emily said, I swear, hers come into the room just 2 minutes before she does. As they ate lunch, Kenneth had to agree that the food was very tasty. What I love most about it is that it's not like every other place, JC added, and then she paid the bill with her credit card. Ready? She asked, holding onto Kenneth's arm. I really enjoy how strong you are. She drove him to DeGard and parked in front of Miss Emily's salon. Miss Emily, this is my daddy. Please don't run off to Las Vegas with him, okay? I'll be back at 5. Love you, Daddy, JC said, giving him a quick kiss before rushing into the salon. Come on, let's get you cleaned up so I can see what we have to work with. Miss Emily smiled and led Kenneth to the back of the shop. She turned him to face the long mirror. Look at you. So how about a trip to Las Vegas? I think my daughter would come looking for you. Kenneth chuckled, knowing she was just being playful. Well, all right. Now Darlene will take care of your nails. When was the last time you had these done? About 9 or 10 years ago, Kenneth replied as Darlene, another stylist, sat down to file his nails. At 5:10, JC walked into the salon and took out her wallet. Okay, how much? She asked, and didn't blink at the $80 charge. What? Kenneth protested. All they did was... A really good job. You look great, JC said, giving his arm a squeeze. Now come on, Andy's waiting. Have you eaten at Las Galias? Once. A long time ago, I had a gift card there from Eddie, Kenneth said. They have the best butternut squash ravioli, JC said as she drove toward the tuxedo rental shop. Andy measured Kenneth and smiled as he noted all the sizes for JC. Look, I'm not dressed for Las Galias, Kenneth said as he got into JC's car. Let's just go to Clark's, okay? You just want to see those girls in their shorts, JC teased. She parked at the diner and turned off the engine. Anyway, I didn't mean tonight. We're having the rehearsal dinner at Las Galias Friday night. Rehearsal is at 6:30 and dinner is at 7:30. Do you know how to dance? JC asked. A little. Mom showed me how when I went with Vicky to my prom, Kenneth replied. Well, I haven't been practicing much lately, you know. And here comes Terry. JC smiled as Terry skated up to the car. Hey, JC, hi, Daddy, Terry said, peeking into the car. Hi, Terry, Kenneth smiled. Could I get one of those chili burgers with onions? We can add those, Terry replied. Do you want them raw or grilled? Grilled, please, Kenneth said eagerly. You better brush your teeth twice, you hear? JC reminded him gently. Come on, JC, don't tell me what to do, Kenneth replied softly but firmly. Oh, JC gasped, her eyes watering. Oh, Daddy, I'm sorry, I didn't mean... Kenneth patted her hand. It's all right. I know you didn't mean to be bossy, so I thought I'd say something, Kenneth said gently. What do you want to drink? Malt? Terry asked, trying to lighten the mood. No, just a Coke, please. Yes, sir, JC, Terry said. Chili burger, light on the jalapenos, and just water, please, JC said, looking humbled. Kenneth watched as Terry skated away from the car. Your meeting with your officer is at 9:30, JC said quietly. Jadia will be driving you. She can't wait for you to meet Robbie and Sammy. Yeah, I'm excited to meet them too, Kenneth agreed, noticing another girl performing cool skating tricks as she brought out some food. That's Kizzy, JC pointed out. Her dad owns the place. She seems really thin, though, Kenneth remarked as the girl put the tray on the car window. She's a dancer, JC mentioned. Teaches at DeGard Dance Studio part-time. And works here too? Kenneth asked. I bet her feet are tired by the end of her shifts. Yeah, those skates can really hurt, JC said, smiling as Terry sped back toward them. And here's our food. Onions on this one, and here's an extra mint, Terry said cheerfully while attaching the tray to the window. Thanks, Terry, Kenneth said, happily digging into his spicy burger. Slow down, JC said with a friendly smile, placing her hand on his thigh. Terry grinned and waved away some change before gliding over to a new car that had pulled in. Man, I love this place, Cecil said, watching Terry come closer. Uh-huh, Jennifer replied without much enthusiasm. Her figure was different from the girl skating toward them, but Jennifer wasn't dressed in tight clothes or super short shorts. After all, she wasn't in her late teens or early 20s. Hi, welcome to Clark's, the girl said brightly. Ready to order? Yeah, are you ready? Cecil asked Jennifer. Yes, I'll have, Jennifer began. I'll take a fish sandwich, no tartar sauce, I can't stand that. Make my fries large, no wait, make that cheese fries and a diet soda, okay? Cecil ordered. And I would like a burger, no onions or pickles, please, and a Coke, Jennifer replied, irritated with Cecil. Yes, ma'am. Terry smiled and walked away. Man, I'd love to tease her, Cecil said as Terry left. That was rude, Jennifer said, annoyed. What? Cecil responded. Just saying what I think, you know. The woman is supposed to order first, Jennifer said sharply. And I'm not even talking about your comments. They sat in silence while waiting for their food. Jennifer looked over as a minivan pulled up and did a double take. It was Mary Kowalski, the owner of the bargain bin. In the car was a small girl with blonde hair and a big smile who wore sunglasses even though it was dark. Mary rolled down the window as Kizzy skated up to the van. Hi, Georgette, Kizzy called out. Jennifer didn't hear the girl reply, but Kizzy and Mary laughed. Sure, grab your cane, sweetie, Kizzy said, and skated to the passenger side of the van. Be careful, Mary said. Jennifer watched as the small girl got out and gasped when she saw the girl tapping around with a white cane. It was clear the girl was blind. Want me to carry you? Kizzy asked. Yeah, Jennifer heard the girl say happily. Yes, ma'am, Mary corrected her. Yes, ma'am, please, Georgette said. We're going to go fast, okay? Kizzy said, and Jennifer held her breath as Kizzy skated off, holding Georgette in her arms. Terry came back carrying a heavy tray and placed it on the car window. $12.92, Terry said cheerfully. What? You've got to be kidding, Cecil said, patting his pockets. You are joking, right? Jennifer said as she took out a 5 and a 10. Keep the change, she told Terry. Thank you, ma'am. Have a nice night, Terry replied and skated away. Cecil handed Jennifer her burger and drink. Hey, do you want any fries? Help yourself, Cecil said, pointing to the fries. Oh, thanks, Jennifer said. Cecil didn't catch the sarcasm, or he simply didn't care, as he shoved the sandwich in his mouth and chewed loudly. Jennifer watched as Kizzy and Georgette returned to the car. She gasped as Kizzy jumped over the bench, holding the child. And here we go, Kizzy said happily. Want me to place her in the back? I'm going to put her on the luggage rack. No, we like to let her run alongside the van for some exercise, Mary replied. No, Georgette objected. All right, fine, just put her back up here, Mary said, giving in. Okay, Kizzy said as she moved away. Now she wants a corn dog. Actually, make it 2 corn dogs and a fruit punch, Mary said, and Kizzy went off to get them. What are you looking at over there? Cecil asked. That's my boss, Jennifer said, dragging her eyes away from the van. She owns the bargain bin. Really? Are you going to say hello to her? Cecil asked, not really interested. No, Jennifer replied a bit too sharply. How could she explain to Cecil that she felt scared around someone small and fierce? I'll brush my teeth 10 times now, Kenneth joked as they walked into the bedroom. JC turned and hugged him tightly, then pulled back to look into his eyes. You can brush them as much as you want, okay? Daddy, I didn't mean... JC's voice trembled. Shh, I know you didn't, sweetie, Kenneth said, giving her a gentle kiss. It was a light kiss, more like a peck, but JC enjoyed it. Are you tired? She asked. Yeah, I am, and it's only 9 o'clock, Kenneth replied. Well, when you get older, you'll need more rest, JC teased. Uh-huh, Kenneth chuckled, kissed her again, and stepped away. JC took off her shoes, which hurt her feet more than her skates did, and put them in the closet. She slipped out of her blouse and let her skirt fall to the floor, planning to take them to the dry cleaners in the morning. She managed to remove her bra, deciding it could be worn again, so she hung it on the closet door. Her panties dropped to the floor as she grabbed her favorite shirt from the closet. Hey, JC, I'm going to jump into the shower. Oops, Kenneth said as he came out of the bathroom and saw JC. He quickly turned back into the bathroom. What's wrong? JC asked, standing in front of the bathroom door. Nothing. I just didn't realize you were there. Kenneth stumbled over his words. Yeah, so? JC said as she put on a clean pair of panties. Not like you haven't seen me before. Uh-huh, but you've changed a bit since the last time, Kenneth said, still feeling shy. Oh well, JC laughed. I'm going to have a glass of wine. Would you like one? I also have that drink you used to like. Want some? Sure, on the rocks, please, Kenneth said, still not quite able to meet her gaze. I'll bring them in here, JC said before leaving the room. Kenneth sighed, then quickly took off his clothes and hopped into the shower. He took a moment and finished in the shower. Afterward, he quickly scrubbed and rinsed himself. Using a large, soft towel, he thought about how much he missed the rough towels from Angola. He then pulled on an old pair of sweatpants he had found earlier that day. Oh, where did you get those? JC asked, handing him a small glass of amber liquid. My old closet, he replied, and followed her to their bed. I usually like to pull out some photo albums, look through them, and enjoy my wine, JC said as she fluffed her pillows. Jadia sent over some pictures I bet you haven't seen. Angola sent them back to her. Oh? Kenneth said as he adjusted his pillows. Yeah, they said they were too much, JC shrugged. I didn't look at them. I just put them in here for you. I thought you'd want to see them when you could. She opened the top drawer of her bedside table and rummaged through it for a moment. Finally, she pulled out a thick envelope and handed it to Kenneth. Thanks. Kenneth smiled and opened the envelope. Maybe I better look at these later, Kenneth said as he glanced at the first few photographs in the large stack. The first photograph showed Jadia smiling proudly. The second one showed her showing a tattoo on her side, looking playfully at the camera. In the third photograph, she posed, revealing more of her tattoos. "Oh, wow, she is so bold sometimes," JC laughed. "I didn't know she would show off like that." Kenneth wasn't eager to look, but he did anyway, feeling uneasy. "You like that, huh?" JC asked, noticing Kenneth's reaction. "I mean, I know some people really find that interesting." "JC, can we not talk about that?" he replied. "Ah, why not?" JC chuckled, taking the photographs from his hands. All right, let's see what else we have." She reached under the bed, which drew his attention for a moment. She came back with a thick binder and placed it on his lap. If JC noticed Kenneth's unease, she didn't mention it. "Here, let's look at this. This is when we all lived on Hermosa Street," JC said, picking up her wine glass for a sip. They spent the next hour going through the old photographs, sharing stories, and laughing about the memories behind each picture. Kenneth yawned loudly and JC smiled. "Looks like it's past your bedtime, huh, Dad?" she asked. "Guess so," Kenneth replied with a small smile. "Okay," she said, gently taking the photo album from his hands and placing it under the bed. "Good night," JC said, turning off her bedside lamp and giving him a soft, affectionate kiss on the cheek. "I love you." "Maybe I should sleep in my old room tonight," Kenneth suggested. "No, Dad," JC said, holding his arm. "I love having you here with me. It was so nice waking up this morning and seeing you right there. It felt like a dream come true. Please stay, don't leave." With some hesitation, he lay back down, and JC did the same. "Good night," Kenneth said, turning off his lamp. "I love you so much," JC whispered, resting her hand on his arm. "Love you too, sweetie pie," Kenneth responded. "That guy's not coming to the wedding, right?" Melissa said with a harsh tone as Jennifer shut the door behind Cecil. "Oh, definitely not," Jennifer quickly replied, shaking her head. "The last thing Jadia wants is for him to show up." "Wait, so what exactly are you doing with him?" Melissa asked suspiciously. "Just spending time," Jennifer snapped back, clearly annoyed. "Well, I hope you're being careful because I'm not going to deal with any surprises," Melissa muttered. "Don't worry, I've got everything under control," Jennifer said sharply. "Okay, Dad," JC said, placing his breakfast in front of him. "Jadia's coming by at 9 to pick you up. She knows where to go. Your parole officer's name is—" "Vanessa LeBlanc," Kenneth replied quietly. He avoided her gaze. The night before, he had woken up to find himself uncomfortably close to her. It had made him uneasy, but he'd moved away, relieved when she didn't wake up. Moments later, he had heard her soft snores, and the tension in his body eased. "And Vanessa's a good friend of mine. Just tell her you're JCK's dad, and she'll make sure you're taken care of," JC said with a smile. "Oh, yeah?" Kenneth said, starting on his breakfast as JC sat down. "Yeah, we used to work together at Clark's when she was in college," JC explained. "No kidding?" Kenneth said. "And when she asks about work, just let her know you're going in for an interview with Rain Sneed. We went to school together," JC added. JC said, "Thomas is with her. She has her own painting business." And then she stood up. Kenneth quickly looked away, feeling a bit awkward. After she left, Kenneth let out a sigh of relief and went to make himself some more coffee. Jadia burst into the house, calling for him. "I'm in here and almost ready," he replied as he came out in his casual clothes. "Daddy!" Jadia exclaimed, wrapping her arms around him for a big hug. She kissed him, but it was a friendly kiss, not like the one JC had given him earlier. "How are you, sweetie pie?" Kenneth smiled. "Come on, you have to meet two of the silliest boys ever," Jadia said excitedly, and led him down the hallway to the small living room. "They're in here, and they already found where Aunt JC keeps all their toys," Jadia chattered. Kenneth noticed how Jadia pronounced Aunt JC, saying Aunt JC instead of Aunt JC. He smiled at the two small boys who looked up from their play. "Robbie, Sammy, do you know who this is?" Jadia asked cheerfully. "That's Grandpa," Robbie said proudly. "That's right," Jadia beamed. "He's been away for a long time, but he's back. Isn't that great?" Mary walked into the store, beaming with happiness. Jennifer quickly ran to the stockroom. "I'll check on those shirts," she called out. "Hey, Mary, how's everything?" Grace greeted her with a smile. "Fantastic," Mary replied. "Miss Teresa has Tommy and George. She told me to take a break for a few hours." "You look amazing. I can't believe you just had a baby," Grace said, surprised. You're too kind, Mary laughed. But I'm following a diet Miss Teresa suggested. I've already lost 6 pounds. She leaned closer to Grace. Though I did treat myself last night. Georgette and I shared a corn dog. I almost ordered dessert, but I resisted. Mary shared. Why is Jennifer crying back there? Mike Chambly asked when he came out of the stockroom. What? I didn't know she was upset, Grace replied. Yeah, she came running back there, and then I saw her in the plus-size section, crying, Mike said, placing a stack of blouses on a cart. And what were you doing back there? Grace questioned him. I was outside taking a break, Mike admitted. That won't help you grow, you know, Mary teased, looking at the tall man. Is that why you're so small? He joked back while sorting through a box of blouses. No, Mary laughed. Catch you later, Grace. See you, Grace said, heading to the stockroom. Grace found Jennifer sitting on the floor, looking a bit better. Do you want to talk about it? Grace asked gently. No, Jennifer replied sharply, not looking up. All right then, Grace said. Get it together and get back out there. Mike can't handle everything by himself, Grace said as she walked out of the stockroom. Jennifer spotted Grace busy organizing a clearance rack. Weren't you scared? Jennifer asked. Scared of what? Grace replied, looking confused. When you found Faith, Jennifer said, weren't you worried about all the things you'd have to let go? Found Faith? From what? Grace asked. You know, when Mary helped you pray and ask for forgiveness, weren't you afraid? Jennifer continued. Afraid of giving up having fun? Afraid of giving up feeling high every night? Afraid of waking up feeling terrible? Grace asked. Yeah, I guess I was a little scared. I thought it was all enjoyable until I really looked at it. But are you happy now? Jennifer asked. Grace glanced around the store. She looked at Jennifer and shrugged. Yeah, I think I am. I wake up every morning with things to do, you know? I have a reason to get up. Each morning I ask for strength and courage to get through the day instead of relying on things to help me. At night I thank him for another day. Jennifer, I didn't give up as much as I've gained, Grace said. But don't you miss? Jennifer pressed. There's a pile of jeans to be priced and put away, Grace said, ending the conversation. When Jadiah finally dropped Kenneth off, he felt relieved. He loved her, loved Robbie and Sammy, and even enjoyed meeting his future son-in-law. But they were loud. They moved around a lot and didn't seem to know how to just sit quietly. Did you make it? JC smiled as he walked through the door. Just barely, he admitted. Come on, sit down, she said, placing a small glass with a golden liquid on the table. I've got dinner in the oven. We'll eat and then watch TV. There's a preseason game on tonight, Lions and Colts. Sounds good, he replied, gratefully sipping the strong liquid. He woke up when she gently nudged him. Come on, sleepyhead, she joked. Dinner was set on the table, ready to eat. She had prepared lamb stuffed with apricots and mint. She also made grape leaves filled with minced lamb and rice. He made a face when she told him what the green bundles were, and she laughed. Here, give it a try, she said, offering him one. He bit into it and had to admit it wasn't as bad as it looked. It looks funny, he said. Be quiet, she smiled, giving him a playful kiss. She popped the other half of the grape leaf into his mouth and kissed him again. What do you want to drink? I have wine that's perfect with the lamb or iced tea or even a beer, she asked. Beer makes the taste of the grape leaves less enjoyable, JC said. Wine sounds nice, Kenneth replied. She poured them each a glass and sat down. He said as he enjoyed a bite of the lamb. Is it cooked just right? JC asked. It's perfect, he said. Good. I wanted it to be wonderful. JC smiled and kissed him gently. Why do you always kiss me? Kenneth asked, sounding a little amused and a bit confused. Because I love you, JC replied in a softer tone. Well, I love you too, but... Kenneth stumbled over his words. I really enjoy kissing you. You are the best man ever, JC continued. Kenneth struggled to respond. Oh, wait. After dinner, I have a surprise for you, JC exclaimed, her cheerful voice returning. They finished eating, and then JC led him to their bedroom. On the bed were 3 bags from the department store. Here, you have to try this on, JC said, grabbing a long garment bag from the closet. What is it? Kenneth asked. Your suit. Oh, I also picked up your tux this afternoon. You will look very sharp, JC said happily. Kenneth looked at the charcoal gray suit and gasped. The price tag read $1,289. Honey, I can't, Kenneth began. It was on sale, JC said with a smile. Even if it was half price, it's still too much, Kenneth objected. Listen to me, JC said, wrapping her arms around him in a warm hug. My grandparents left me some money and I've saved it. Please let me do this for you? Finally, Kenneth shrugged and tried on the suit. Oh my, you look so good, JC said, kissing him warmly when he came out of the bathroom. I will be the luckiest person when I show up with you. She showed him more clothes in the other bag's jeans, polo shirts, khakis, button-down shirts, brown loafers, black dress shoes, socks, some sports shoes, and several pairs of white socks. And, she grinned, pulling out a pack of new boxers. You can get rid of those old ones, okay? JC, he laughed, looking at the colorful patterns. Oh, you don't like those? How about these? She pulled out a pair of black silk boxers with fun designs. There are black ones and red ones too, and I think the white ones would look great on you, she said, smiling. Just pass me those, Kenneth chuckled. Thank you, sweetie, she whispered, hugging him and giving him a quick kiss. Thank you for what? Kenneth asked, surprised. For letting me buy you these things, JC replied, playfully nibbling on his earlobe. Jennifer and Melissa felt uneasy in their pantsuits. Neither had been able to find proper dresses for the event. None were within their budget. Both the mother and daughter felt uneasy and out of place as they watched others gather in the church foyer. All right, are we ready? Father Gregory asked cheerfully as he guided people into the main area. Friends of the groom, sit here, he directed, pointing. Friends of the bride over here. If you're unsure, just pick the side that looks nicer and sit there. Then they'll all sit with her, Eric commented. Aw, Jadia replied, and the music will play as the ring bearers walk down the aisle. We have 2 of them, right? Father Gregory continued. Yes, my 2 sons, Eric said proudly. Our 2 sons, Jadia corrected him. Next will be the best man and the maid of honor, Father Gregory said, as JC and Orville Jackson came together. Then the moment we've all been waiting for, Father Gregory declared. And here she is, on her father's arm, the star of the show. You missed your chance to be an actor, huh? Kenneth teased with a grin. Kenneth, you were a troublemaker as a kid, Father Gregory replied, smiling. Jennifer found herself surprised by the handsome young man standing with her eldest daughter. His suit looked expensive, the shirt was neatly pressed, and the bright red tie caught her eye. His shoes appeared costly too, and so did the watch he wore. He smiled warmly as he and Jadia practiced their introduction. Then he took his place at the end of the pew near her. But Kenneth did not glance at Jennifer or Melissa at all. Okay, everyone, one more time. Music, ring bearers, best man, maid of honor, and then the bride. Any questions? Father Gregory asked. See you tomorrow, Jadia? Father Gregory said as he got ready to leave. Yes, Father, Jadia replied. It might be a tradition for the bride to be late, but I don't think anyone will mind if we start on time, all right? He smiled. Of course, Father, she laughed. Okay, everyone, we're going to Las Scalias, Kenneth announced. I hear they have the best butternut squash ravioli ever. Mom, you're coming too, right? Jadia pleaded. Honey, we can't afford that, Jennifer whispered back. Don't worry, Dad is handling it, JC said with a smile as she looked at Kenneth. What? How could? Jennifer started to say, surprised. And there's a lounge with a live band for dancing, JC chimed in while leading Kenneth away from the church. Jennifer sat quietly, watching as Kenneth enjoyed his time with Jadia and JC, both girls clearly taken with him. He looked fantastic, healthy, and happy. He really didn't look like he was working hard for $8 an hour, dealing with rude customers and their noisy kids while trying to keep a smile on his face. She noticed the fancy blouse and skirt Jadia wore, along with the nice dress JC had on. Her own pantsuit seemed dull and outdated beside them. Even the waitress was paying more attention to Kenneth and hardly glanced at her, as if she was just another customer instead of the mother of the bride. Jadia looked across the table and gave her a warm smile. I'm glad you both could come, Jadia said sincerely. Me too, Melissa replied cheerfully. Thank you, Jennifer said reluctantly. Honey, do you think your mother has something nice to wear for the wedding? Eric asked Jadia. My mom mentioned that pantsuit is from a discount store. I'll check, Jadia said, standing up. Mom, I need to go to the ladies' room, Jadia said. You know how it is. They need to go in pairs in case they get lost, Kenneth joked. Jennifer held back her response and followed Jadia down the hall. Mom, do you have anything to wear for the wedding? Jadia asked once the door was closed. Well, Mama and I found a couple of skirts and blouses where I work, Jennifer said, feeling shy. Okay, Mom, we don't have much time, Jadia said, checking her purse. The store closes at 10. I'll get Eric to take Robbie and Sammy home right after we're done here. Oh, you don't have to, Jennifer started to say. Yes, Mother, I do, Jadia insisted. She looked at her reflection in the mirror. We're having pictures taken tomorrow, and I want to be proud of those pictures, she said. What? How can you say that? Jennifer gasped, shocked. What's wrong, Mother? Jadia asked, smiling. I learned well from you about being strong and assertive. Jadia walked out of the restroom, leaving Jennifer stunned until Melissa came in to check on her. JC led Kenneth into the lounge as other guests began to leave. Can you hear the music? It's nice, JC asked, excited. Yes, I can, Kenneth replied, growing anxious. Oh, great, it's a slow song, JC said. Just right. She set her purse on a table and pulled Kenneth onto the dance floor. She moved closely to him, her leg pressed against his. The heels helped JC stand tall enough to look him in the eyes. See? Just right, she said softly as they swayed on the nearly empty dance floor. He felt nervous about what might happen if a faster song came on. Even if JC didn't notice how close they were, he worried about what others might think. Kenneth felt embarrassed, his face turning bright red and his heart racing. I think someone enjoys dancing with me, JC teased gently, giving him a kiss. Well, Kenneth stuttered, feeling very awkward. I love you, Daddy, JC said, then pulled back a little and started a lively foxtrot. Mind if I join in, old man? Michael Green, Eric's older brother, said with a smug tone when another slow song began. Yes, I do mind. My date and I are dancing, Kenneth replied sharply, annoyed by the old man comment. No, thank you, JC said, frowning at the interruption. Michael walked away from the dance floor and, seeing no one else to approach, left Las Galias. Your date? JC asked, smiling at him. What? Kenneth smiled back. I'm your date, huh? Does that mean I'm your girlfriend? JC asked, and quickly kissed him before he could respond. Here, try this dress on, Jadia said, picking a soft gray dress. You still have those pearls? They would look great with it. No, they got burned, remember? Jennifer replied, sounding upset. Oh, that's too bad. Jadia shrugged and kept looking at the dresses. Jadia, this dress costs $500, Jennifer said, surprised. And, Jadia replied, JC said to pick whatever we wanted. JC? Jennifer glanced back at the pretty dress. Really, Mother, do you think I can buy this? Jadia said. Ooh, Mama, this blue one would be perfect for you. Isn't blue your favorite color? Melissa looked at the lovely blue dress and blinked. Wow, that is something, huh? Melissa said. Come on, they close in 20 minutes, Jadia urged. Take your time, ma'am. The salesgirl smiled. No, I'm tired and I want to go home, Jadia replied firmly. Jennifer felt very out of place in the trendy store and hesitated as she stepped into the changing room. She could smell her own sweat and didn't want to try on the dress, fearing she might leave a mark that would make the next person realize it was her. But she tried it on and had to admit, it looked amazing. Perfect, that's the one, Jadia said from behind her. Mama, how's yours? I almost feel like a princess in this. Melissa laughed as she entered the mirrored room. It looks very nice on you, Jadia smiled. Okay, I'll be at the counter. We've already picked out the pantyhose for you, so we just need to pay and go. You look very handsome in this, JC said as she adjusted Kenneth's tie and began to open his shirt. Of course, you look great in anything. Uh-huh, I think you might be a bit biased, Kenneth grinned. Yes, I am, JC said with a smile, looking into his light blue eyes. She turned and moved her hair aside. Could you help me with this? She asked, and Kenneth gently unzipped her dress, noticing the black straps of her bra. As he eased the zipper down, he caught a glimpse of her black panties. Thanks, she sighed. I couldn't wait to get out of those shoes. Wearing high heels all day and then rushing back here just to change and stand around for hours has really worn me out. My feet are killing me." "Why do you all put yourselves through that?" Kenneth asked, taking off his own shoes. "Because we want to look nice for you," JC replied as she stepped out of her dress and hung it up. "Well, it's definitely working," Kenneth said as he put away his suit. "Aren't you sweet?" JC smiled, playfully tugging at the waistband of his boxers. "Nice choice." "Yeah, my daughter got them for me," he said with a smile as he headed to the bathroom. She gratefully unhooked her bra and let it drop. Her stockings followed as she rolled them down carefully. JC pulled on a comfy t-shirt and a simple pair of white underwear. "Thank you for the pajamas," Kenneth said when he returned to the room. "You're welcome. I was sweating just watching you in those sweatpants. I don't know how you can sleep in them," JC joked. They climbed into bed with JC rolling slightly on top of Kenneth. "Good night. I love you," she said, and gave him a gentle kiss. "Love you too," he replied, feeling a mix of emotions. "Tomorrow's Saturday," JC said, playfully biting his lower lip. "I usually sleep in, then I run down to Meichi's for a dozen donuts and eat most of them. Then I feel guilty the whole day. Want to join?" "How about half a dozen?" Kenneth suggested. "Okay," JC said, giving him a quick kiss before rolling off him to switch off her bedside lamp. "Where are you going?" she asked as he got out of bed. "Bathroom," Kenneth answered. He made sure the door was closed, then took a moment to himself, feeling weighed down by mixed feelings. "Now, what do you think we should do with our hair?" Melissa asked eagerly after they finished breakfast. "What's wrong with my hair?" Jennifer replied. "Nothing really, but we've had this look for a while. We should try something new," Melissa suggested. "Mom, no one is going to be looking at us," Jennifer sighed, feeling a bit older. "You can do what you want, but I'm happy with my hair like this." "If this isn't good enough, forget about them," Kenneth said with a shrug. "I still can't get over how good Kenneth looked," Melissa said excitedly. Jennifer clenched her jaw and focused on her cup of coffee, trying to ignore Melissa as she kept talking. "I'm going to take a shower. Please don't start the dishwasher until I'm done," Jennifer suddenly said, standing up and walking away. "These donuts are still just as good and greasy as I remember," Kenneth said with a grin as he bit into a hot, glazed donut. "They're the best when they're fresh," JC agreed, wiping the sugar from her lips. "Don't do that," Kenneth said without thinking, then quickly realized what he'd said and groaned. "Do what?" JC asked curiously. "Nothing," Kenneth replied, feeling a little embarrassed. "No, seriously, don't do what?" JC asked again, placing a hand on his leg. "It's nothing. Want more coffee?" Kenneth tried to change the subject. "No, Daddy, tell me don't do what?" JC asked, giggling now. "Don't lick the sugar off your lips like that," Kenneth finally said, looking flustered. "Oh," JC responded with a mischievous smile. She took another bite of her donut, chewed slowly, and then carefully wiped her lips again. "Like this?" she asked playfully. "Yeah, like that," Kenneth admitted with a sigh. "Okay, I won't do it," she teased, repeating the motion. "Any more." "You're such a tease," Kenneth said, laughing as he took another bite of his donut. "Okay, one more donut and then I'll stop," JC said, digging into the bag for another. "After this, I'll get ready." She continued eating, making a playful show of it, then quickly leaned forward and gave Kenneth a light kiss on the cheek before walking out of the kitchen. "The wedding is in 2 hours, and it'll take me at least that long to get ready," she called out. "You'll look beautiful in just a few seconds," Kenneth called back. He stood up, relieved that JC had left the room. He took a deep breath and poured himself some coffee, trying to stay calm. "All right, just one more donut, then I really need to shower and shave," he said aloud. After finishing his donuts and coffee, Kenneth decided it was time to start getting ready. He headed toward his bedroom. JC was sitting on the edge of the bed, her hair wrapped in a towel. She was carefully painting her toenails a bright red color. She looked up and gave Kenneth a bright smile. "Tux is hanging right there," she said casually, continuing to paint her nails. Kenneth nodded, appreciating how organized everything was for the day ahead. He smiled back at her before heading to get dressed for the big event. "Come on, time is passing." He forced himself to look up at her lovely face as she focused on painting her toenails. He noticed the tattoo on her arm, which was partly visible beneath her robe. "I love my dad," it said inside a red heart, with flames at the top. He shook his head and walked into the bathroom. He didn't close the door, just dropped his pajamas and stepped into the shower. After a moment, he turned on the water. When he left the bathroom wearing some comfortable boxers, JC was busy drying her hair. Her robe had slipped open, and he glanced at her reflection in the mirror as he started to get dressed. "Here," JC said, helping him with his tie. "Hurry up and get dressed," Kenneth told her. "I will, just a second," JC replied, quickly tying the knot around his neck. She stepped back and smiled. "Wow, you look great. I might need to get you a tux of your own," she said. "Why would I need a tux?" he asked. "To take me dancing," she said, letting her robe fall onto the bed. "I'll be in the living room," Kenneth said, making a quick exit. She put on a light blue top and matching bottoms before rolling on her stockings. The light blue dress and shoes seemed a bit silly to her, but it wasn't her wedding. After checking her makeup one last time, JC decided she was ready and left the bedroom. She smiled as she found Kenneth sitting nervously. No matter how old they were, boys often got anxious easily. "Ready?" she asked, brushing a bit of lint from his jacket. "Wow, JC, you look amazing," he said genuinely. "Thanks. You look great too," she replied, giving him a quick kiss and then wiping a bit of lipstick from his lips. Jadia smiled as Kenneth and JC entered the small entryway. "Wow," JC said, admiring Jadia's pale pink dress. "Wow, indeed," Kenneth agreed. "Honey, you look beautiful." "Thanks, Dad," Jadia said, glowing from his compliment. "So, are you ready to get married?" he asked. "Now that you are here?" "Yes, I am," she replied. She hugged him tightly. "Now that you're here, everything will be fine," she said. "I'll be right back," JC said and walked out of the room. "You seen Eric?" Jadia asked. "Yeah, he's out there looking a bit nervous," Kenneth smiled. "He should be happy," Jadia said. "I've been making him wait for almost 4 months now." "Wait for what?" Kenneth asked, looking confused. "The special time," Jadia laughed. "Hello, Mom. Oh, nice dress," JC said as she walked over to her mother and grandmother. "Thanks," Jennifer said, feeling upset by how JC said Mom, as if it were a bad word. "Listen, Mom, at the reception, people will want to see you dance with Dad," JC said. "That will never happen," Jennifer almost shouted. "And it's Jadia's wedding, not yours. I expect you to be nice, do you understand?" JC said angrily. "Are you out of your mind?" Jennifer retorted. "Dance with him, just one dance, or I swear I will make your life very difficult, do you hear me?" JC warned, her dark eyes filled with anger. Jennifer stared at her daughter in shock. "And there will be a photographer. I expect you to smile and pretend you're enjoying it. Is that clear?" JC continued. "Yes, JC," Jennifer replied, trying to show her discontent. "Good. Hi, Mama. That dress looks really nice on you," JC said before leaving. "Did you hear that?" Jennifer asked her mother. "Not very pleasant when you have to face your own mistakes, huh?" Melissa smiled as the music began to play louder. Father Gregory spoke the vows and asked Jadia and Eric to kiss. Then he smiled down at 6-year-old Robert and 4-year-old Samuel. "Now, Robert Kenneth K., I have a question for you, young man," Father Gregory said. Kenneth was surprised. He didn't know his grandson shared his name. "You've been very good standing up here and not causing a fuss. Your mom told you this is an important day, didn't she?" Father Gregory smiled. "Yes, sir," Robert said, standing up straight. "Robert Kenneth K., do you promise to listen to your mom and dad, to eat all your vegetables, to clean your room and take a bath when they tell you?" Father Gregory asked. The guests chuckled as Robert hesitated, unsure of how to respond. No, just kidding," Father Gregory said quickly. "Do you promise to be a good boy? To love your mom and dad? To try to be a good big brother?" "Yes, sir," Robert replied seriously. "And Samuel Kenneth K., Father Gregory said. Again, Kenneth was surprised. Both of his grandsons shared his name. Jadia chose Robert's name to frustrate Jennifer, but she picked Samuel's because she loved him dearly. "Do you promise to be a good boy? To love your mom and dad? To try to be a good brother?" "Yes, sir," Samuel said earnestly. "Then by the powers given to me, I now pronounce you Robert Kenneth Green and Samuel Kenneth Green. Family, friends, and honored guests, I would like to introduce Mr. and Mrs. Eric Vincent Green, along with their 2 sons, Robert and Samuel Kenneth Green. I adopted them 2 weeks ago," Eric said proudly to anyone who would listen. "But Anne and I wanted them to be part of the wedding." "Anne?" Kenneth asked. Who is Anne? That's me, Jadia replied. I was tired of my old name, remember? Anne is my middle name. I'm sorry, honey. It might take some time for me to get used to calling you Anne, Kenneth said. Just call me honey, Jadia suggested as she snuggled up to him. She then turned to Eric. Daddy, is it okay if I have my first dance with you? She asked sweetly. Of course, go ahead, Eric said with a smile. Just remember the last dance is mine. It always will be, she promised, giving him a warm kiss. The DJ announced the bride and her father, and the guests applauded politely. Jennifer glared at her husband as he danced with their daughter. Smile, you old grouch, JC told Jennifer, who forced a smile that looked fake. Jennifer wondered how JC could make her life any worse, but she could tell just by looking into JC's eyes that trouble was coming. When the song ended, Jadia quickly approached the DJ and asked him to play it again. She returned to dance with her father, resting her head on his shoulder. I'm sorry, she said as the song was ending. Sorry for what? Kenneth asked. That I didn't dance with you more, Jadia admitted. That I didn't appreciate you more. That I didn't grow up when I should have. That I was a difficult daughter. Anne, it's okay. We have today. That's what matters, Kenneth said. Many guests smiled as Jadia hugged her father tightly. Now I think your husband would like to dance, Kenneth suggested. JC danced with several of the available men, but she always made sure to dance with her father, too. Have you danced with Mom? She asked after a slow song ended. No, thankfully, I haven't even spoken to her, Kenneth replied. The photographer wants at least one picture of you two dancing, she said, her expression tense. Please wait here. This is just great, Jennifer muttered as JC headed straight for her. Dance with him right now, JC insisted. Jennifer took a deep breath and walked over to Kenneth. May I have this dance? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Sure, Kenneth replied casually. How can you afford all this? She asked quietly, making sure that JC couldn't overhear. That's for me to know and you not to worry about, he answered calmly, smiling for the photographer. Jadia is telling everyone that you're paying for everything, and since she doesn't know who her real father is, I assume you're the one she's talking about, Jennifer said sharply. Well, do you have any idea who her real father is? Kenneth shot back. Or were you with so many people you forgot? Kenneth asked with a cold smile as Jennifer's face hardened in anger. Yes, I know who her father is, you jerk, Jennifer snapped back. Because you told me it was me, Kenneth said, frowning. He muttered to himself. How long is this song anyway? I know what I said, Jennifer shot back, clearly unbothered by her own dishonesty. And I suppose you know who Jalissa's father is? And JC's? Kenneth asked with a smirk, watching her anger grow. Yes, I do, Jennifer replied bitterly. Like I'd let someone like you be the father. You're not sorry at all, are you? Kenneth asked with a calm smile. Inside, he was furious, but his time in prison had taught him that a smile was more disarming than anger. Frowning gave away your feelings, but a smile kept people guessing, made them reveal their own thoughts. No, why should I be? You got what you wanted, Jennifer said sharply. I don't remember asking for anything like that, Kenneth replied with a smile, bowing as the slow, drawn-out song finally ended. You gotta be with me, you loser, Jennifer sneered. So did everyone else, Kenneth said, still smiling. By the time it was my turn, it didn't mean much. Jennifer felt a surge of anger, but JC's glance stopped her from saying more. Kenneth took JC by the arm and led her to the bar. So I'm paying for this wedding, huh? You found the account? Kenneth asked, unable to hide his amusement. The one you made just before the fire? JC smiled as she ordered a drink. Grandma gave it to me when I graduated from St. Thomas Aquinas. Kenneth laughed, a deep, hearty laugh. Well, I sure do have a smart daughter, he said, pulling her into a warm hug. And I sure do have a smart dad, JC replied, happy in his arms. At 3 o'clock, the bouquet was tossed to the single women and the garter to the available bachelors. The newlyweds, along with their 2 tired little boys, climbed into the limousine heading to the airport. Disney World? Kenneth asked with a grin when JC told him where the couple was going for their honeymoon. Yeah, I want to go too, JC said, holding his arm and leaning against him. Want me to bring them back so we can all go? Kenneth asked with a chuckle. I'm sure they wouldn't mind. Not with them, JC giggled. Just me and you. Sweetie pie, I haven't even gotten my first paycheck yet, Kenneth said, smiling. Christmas, JC whispered playfully into his ear. Once again, Michael Green tried to pull JC away from her father, and Kenneth had to fight the urge to react, keeping his cool. Michael thought that because he was younger and taller than Kenneth, it would be easy to win over JC. JC smiled kindly at the 35-year-old man and shrugged. I'll be back in a minute, she said, giving Kenneth an affectionate kiss on the cheek before joining Michael on the dance floor. So, he said confidently. JC, huh? What does the J stand for? It's JC. It's just one name, not initials, she replied, shaking her head at his misunderstanding. As he tried to hold on to her, she stepped back gently. Kenneth K. is not someone you want to mess with, she said with a sweet smile. He may not show anger, but he doesn't forget easily. Michael looked surprised by her response. He loosened his grip, and she stepped back gracefully, still smiling at him. He spent 9 years in prison for a reason. He's tougher than you think. Got it? JC said. Michael stuttered, feeling nervous. Just keep your distance and let us be, okay? JC said before walking away from him. Michael mumbled. But look at that blonde over there in the light gray dress, JC suggested. Go ask her to dance, tell her she's lovely, and I promise you she won't take long to respond. Jennifer watched with interest as her son-in-law's older brother approached their table. Hi, would a beautiful lady like you dance with me? He asked. Sure, Jennifer replied with a smile. She was indeed pretty, Michael thought, but there was a toughness about her. He shrugged that off. It's just a bit of fun. No need for anything serious, he thought as he moved closer to her. You ready? JC whispered to Kenneth as Bobby cleared out the last of the catering supplies. Yeah, I'm tired, Kenneth said with a nod. JC waved goodbye as Bobby pulled the catering van out of the parking space. Let me guess, she used to work at Clark's? Kenneth said with a grin as JC unlocked the car. Nope, she went to St. Thomas with me, JC replied with her own smile. Jennifer didn't wave as Michael left the church parking lot. I knew she'd fall for his charm, JC said with a hint of a smile. That's the end of part 1. But the story is far from over. Joan's choices are about to lead to even more shocking consequences. You won't want to miss what comes next in this thrilling journey of temptation and betrayal. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're the first to catch part 2, premiering in just a few hours.